you tired of living lies, breathing falsehoods through the air while you stare me in the eyes? 'Cause I know that what you say ain't true. You're telling it to me, but I believe it for you. Tell yourself you're perfect, tell yourself you're right, tell yourself whatever helps you sleep.
We want to take a moment and say thank you. It's been a tumultuous year, not just in Gehenna Valley, but in our real lives. A year that none of us would have really been able to predict. But by coming together almost every single Monday, we've been able to create a little solace, a little refuge, and we're so glad that other people have taken that journey with us. We want to say goodbye, but we also want you to know that we're not going anywhere. You may not see us on Monday night, but please come and say hi on the Discord and look for us in other games so that we can continue to build joy together.
Tell yourself you're right, tell yourself whatever helps you sleep at night. Tell yourself that it makes some sense and you've been justified. Whatever helps you sleep at night. 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 Whatever helps get you through the day. Whatever helps, it's okay, oh yeah, it's already. Whatever helps.
To the cast and crew of Gehenna Valley, I just want to say that I appreciate you, that I'm proud of everything you've done over the past 2 seasons, and that I will miss you greatly, and thank you for everything that you've done for us. To Stephanie, to Kay, to Ashley, to Rob, to Natalie, and to Brian. You made this simply amazing, and you were amazing.
Good evening, Honeybuns, and welcome to the what do you call this show? Monsterhearts Mondays, Gehenna Valley. It's our big Q&A. It's super exciting. We're all here to do fun stuff with y'all.
Oh my god, look at those nuggets on the bottom.
Aren't they nuggets?
They're so cute.
They're very cute. Because we don't have a slideshow tonight, because I just have my big thing of notes.
I thought about making it a little high until it would crop off the top of Corey's head because he's so tall.
He's so tall.
You should have photoshopped him even taller.
Oh,
rude.
I've been saying before the movie he needs to have a growth spurt and be like 7
What?
foot.
I've been debating it. He may be 6'5".
Why did you put that idea in her head?
He might be 6'5" by the time the
that is ridiculous height.
Yeah, no one's that height, right, Rob?
No one's sane anyway.
Yeah,
that's right.
My brothers are not saying that it's true.
See?
So we want to thank everyone for being here. We're already off to a good start. We got a lot of good feedback from that little poll survey thing I sent out. So I want to thank everybody who filled things out there. So we got, I think, plenty of content for tonight.
Ooh.
But if you have like little follow-up questions and you're watching this live, you can use the chat and be like, hey, I know you just asked who your favorite Ninja Turtle is, but can you please explain why better? And I'll try to pick up on those
Leonardo.
things. Yeah, but can you please anyway?
April O'Neil.
What is Ninja Turtles?
No.
She's
All
a
right.
part of the
I am
group.
Don't believe that question. I think you just said that to get a rise. I don't believe
Yeah.
you. You're being a brat.
This is Corey. Corey doesn't know who the Ninja Turtles
Bebop and
are.
Rocksteady?
That's
Come on.
what it is. So on the survey that we sent out, there was three major options. And we said, hey, you want to share a heartfelt message? Do you want to share your favorite moment? You want to ask some questions? And we always get a lot of questions because we've done this so many times now. This is our second Q&A. But we got a number of heartfelt messages this time. So I'm going to sprinkle those in amongst the questions. And I thought we would start with one of those just so
Should have
like
brought booze.
you should have.
You really are determined to like start us off with crying
Oh,
tonight.
video's
Brian.
broken.
Jesus.
Video's broken.
What do you mean the video
Sorry,
is
that
broken?
was me.
It
I
doesn't look
accidentally
broken.
opened up the participants window thing.
That's
That was
okay.
my fault.
Should I run away for 2 seconds to go get booze?
Someone sent a
No.
message in
No,
chat, but I didn't
wait.
open it in advance, so I can't see it. Whoever sent that, please put it in the Discord.
You're stuck now, Kay, to the break. I'm sorry.
Oh no.
Yeah, it's
Who's
sad.
Sober.
It's fine.
You
They're
mean
not
you don't
that good.
drink
You know, come
booze
on.
every episode?
No one knows what's in our cups.
I'm drinking juice.
Just
Blood.
drinking
Juice.
bubbly water with fruit flavoring.
That's right.
I put blood into one of those soda streams. It's great.
No, you're supposed to only put water in
Water?
soda stream.
Did I tell you in college, my freshman year, we had a soda stream and we decided to fill the whole thing with milk and see what happened?
Oh my god,
Okay,
we were talking
stop.
about that. Okay,
All
we're not going
done.
to talk about it right now,
All
but we
done.
were actually talking about that.
We're gonna have a heartfelt message, okay?
Yeah, give us this heartfelt
That's
message.
what
Remind
we're
me to tell you
doing.
guys about Sprilk later.
No.
Camera.
No, it's just an egg
No.
cream.
Heartfelt message. Oh, jeez. This comes from Charlie.
Oh no.
Gehenna Valley has been a wonderful place to spend time in for all these Mondays. You all know this, but I'm so deeply fond of every single character, and getting to watch their growth has been an absolute joy. I've loved getting to make memes and GIFs for you all, and the awesome and amazing community found through this show and this game. Heart.
Aw, Charlie, we love you.
Yeah.
I should have had booze for this.
See, I told you
wanna-
it's
do you wanna
fine.
have
You're
these?
fine. Let's go to some questions. Let's answer some questions. Let's see. What's a good question to start in? I should have ordered these earlier. Question song. Oh, some of these are real tear jerkers. I don't think so. Let's start with something light, okay?
Uh-oh.
We had a couple of people ask a couple of variants on this question. So we want to know, out of the NPCs, who do you ship?
Oh, like
Tabitha and Ingrid. Oh,
With each
sorry,
other?
that was more.
with the
No,
Continue.
go ahead. No,
I
what
just
were you
said-
going to say?
I just said Tabitha and Ingrid.
Tabitha and
ship them.
Ingrid.
are we talking like NPCs with each other or with PCs?
And people
Both.
together.
Both?
Yeah, why not?
Okay.
Wolfe and Bex, the rivalry ship.
Wolf
Stephanie
and Bex is a good one.
is one of the people who submitted the question, and she really wants to know NPCs together. I heard that, and I saw it. But
Marissa and Bex.
Marissa and Bex, why?
Well, because they're just a canon couple
Because
already.
they are actually together.
Because that's canon couple. I like Ronnie Brusek's Tabitha. I think that could be really, really cute.
That could have been cute.
I could just see just like the level of hype energy. They're both like woo girls. Well, woo girl and woo boy. And then go for it.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No, I'll do another one after.
I was
We'll go
thinking
around.
the other day about Hannah and either Sandra or Ruth ending up together, just because like
Aw.
Crina and Bridget spend enough time together that their
Well,
gangs intermingle.
But
That
I
face.
envision Sandra and Ruth as adults, so
Yeah,
that's
very
okay.
much.
They're
as
all adults. Alistair's an adult.
Alistair is close.
Alistair
to being
is
a
an adult.
teenager.
Alistair is an adult. No, you don't get to hoop jump through this.
Hey, I'm a vampire. I've been alive forever.
Oh,
you know.
oh.
That's true.
Oh,
That's true.
I do ship. Oh wow, Braveheart.
I thought you just said Braveheart for a minute.
No,
and I'm like,
Braveheart.
Freedom.
I do ship Kale and Caleb. That's one of my.
Kale and Caleb.
Because
Okay.
I think Kale could like settle Caleb down, kind of.
I was gonna say Caleb in his hand forever, but whatever.
I also very much ship Crina's mom, Ava, with Eva. I'm sorry, I always do that. With Mr. Mulhair.
Interesting.
The chat has a couple of really good ones.
like
They-
some of the
Would
chat
eat
ones,
Him
yeah.
alive.
yeah, they're saying
Oh,
Sergey and Wilma, which would
Ooh.
be, I don't know. I don't know. If Wilma is gonna put up with Sergey.
I don't. She's gone through a lot already in her
Beth,
adult life.
Jesus.
Hmm.
Bassett says Eva and Wilma.
Maybe.
Maybe.
You know that
Maybe.
a little
So-
more
I guess.
reasonable at least.
Wilma's probably like at least like I don't know, like 10 years older.
He's
than
gonna
Yeah,
Eva.
yeah. Eva is about 10 years younger than everyone's parents because she
Yeah,
was
so
17
what?
when she had Crina.
I liked Ronnie Bruce and Tyson Truck.
Hmm.
I kind of like Eva and Sergey together though. Not as anything serious, but it's just like if we're
Mhm.
gonna have some fun. Like I could definitely see that happening.
What about Eva and the librarian?
She would eat him alive.
That's what I just said, Mr. Mulhair, even.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry. There was
I
a
was-
lot going on.
I was
Eat
thinking
him alive.
Mick Thunderberg and Mr. Mulhair.
Okay.
Why? We don't know much of Mixed Thunderbird.
I think eventually they're figuring things out. Eventually.
Or
There's also Sergey and Mr. Mulhair in that rival to lovers kind of way.
and the other end of that question that was asked is, do you have a favorite crack ship?
Oh, I
What is-
asked that.
What is a
You
crack
did.
ship?
It's just dumb and it'll never work and like
It's
it
probably
makes
not a
no
good
sense.
idea. They wouldn't get
There's
together
no-
necessarily.
There's no canonical
There's no
evidence for
like
it.
reason for them to be together, but you still ship them anyway.
Right.
I very much like the idea of Ghoul coming back, Chase and Wolf.
Ooh, that would
Wolf
be
and
spicy, especially because of like how Wolf was like so jealous of Chase. Like,
And
For the
Chase was jealous
longest
of
time.
Wolf. Yeah, that's a good crack one.
Hmm.
wait, why was Chase jealous? Oh, because once he actually started dating
Tanya,
Bridget.
Miss Abel.
Yes, they could be like the evil power couple.
Wait, who's with Miss Abel?
Tanya.
Oh,
Tanya.
Tanya.
That's a great
Okay,
crack
for
ship.
a crack ship, yes, I'm here for that.
That's a great crack.
Yeah, they just team
I
up
think
to
you
like.
meant to say Mecha Abel.
Mecha Abel.
Abel.
The evil.
Oh God, cracky ships.
Vex
This is a
and Wolf
terrible crack
again.
ship. This is a terrible crack ship, but we can ship them in prison together, and that's Aitor and Walt.
I knew you were gonna say that as soon as you
prison.
said ship them in prison together.
Wow.
Yeah,
I'm like, no,
X
don't
squared
do
and
it.
Milo.
excluded my love.
Nice.
Weird.
Excluded.
My gosh.
Oh my
Mauricio
God. Like-
and Tanya.
Like Milo and
Ooh.
Marissa.
Ooh, they would. Oh, that dynamic would be so wild because it's like Stoner who doesn't care and like
I
Very
know.
serious
I
cheerleader.
know.
I really
Crack ship.
wanted Rachel to get somebody. I also
Rachel
wanted.
and Mauricio.
Oh,
No,
no.
Rachel and Morphle.
Rach. Ooh, what?
I ruined that on like day one.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's why they could get their actual chance.
Ooh. Maybe who would treat someone? Maybe Rachel and Ingrid.
I don't know.
'Cause
I mean,
Ingrid-
Ingrid deserves someone too, but I don't know that they deserve each other.
Well, I feel
don't
like
know.
Ingrid would treat Rachel right.
I could see like Tyson Truck coming out of the woodwork to end up being like this nice gentleman character that gets developed a little bit more.
Ooh, that
Hmm.
could, that
You
could
know,
work.
But yeah.
Oh,
Um,
Harold and Corey is like a cute little side ship that I enjoy that people probably are very aware of.
Is that
Hmm.
like a crack ship though? Like that's kind of
Oh
like
no, this was more like NPC.
canon.
Yeah, this was more like NPCs with other people from earlier.
I like the idea of Mix Thunderberg is secretly a computer genius with Mecha Able. That's a good one.
That's pretty good.
Thank
I
you,
like
Ninja
that.
Cat Stories in the
Thanks, Ninja
chat.
Cat Stories.
That's a good one.
That's a good
I
one.
should have
Excellent.
taken them out when I had the chance.
I also like the idea of mixed Rapani and Wilma, maybe.
We just want everyone to get together. We
Yeah.
just
I want
want
people
everyone.
to be you know, we want people to be happy with
Wilma
something.
deserves nice things.
Wilma
Wilma
does
deserves
deserve
nice
nice things. That's true.
And Mix Rapani feels like the type that would get someone flowers and like be very thoughtful about like what Wilma is going through and has been through and be like very gentle about it.
Someone like who could really long term, take care
Stop.
and provide
Stop.
and, really has a perspective of a long
Wow.
Stop.
history,
No.
understands the vampiric condition that now their son is going to have to handle. Who could that be?
I got another
Diogo
question.
Crystal, thank you for the raid.
Oh, we're getting raided? Hi, Raiders.
Yeah.
Raider.
Woo, woo, woo.
New question? Time
New
for
question. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anonymous asks, what is everyone's favorite moment that could have been a role gone slightly different or a choice just slightly altered? Do we have any regrets or almost regrets?
The one I always think of is from season 1, where Donovan tried to figure out what happened with Bridget and Crina and the cheerleaders during the tryout practice.
Mm-hmm.
And it got Donovan trying to hide things for Crina instead of realizing Crina orchestrated it. So it could have set them more against each other. I mean, Donovan still really liked Crina at that point, especially because she and her dad helped him out. But I think it definitely would have changed the next few actions that happened.
I think I have 2 that are like both at the beginning of season 1.
Okay.
The first one is what if Corey had insisted that Wolfe come on the back of the motorcycle?
This is something we think about
Which
often.
we've talked about before. It's just like how different would like the campaign be?
Okay, so let's
Um,
back it up for the people who haven't talked about it a ton.
Okay.
So for our people at home, what are we talking about? What motorcycle?
So like in the first episode, Wolfe, if you play an Infernal, one of the things is like someone thinks they can save you, and Wolfe had that about Corey. And during the first episode, there was a moment where they were making like plans to hang out, and Corey had been be like, yeah, just come on the back of my motorcycle. Wolfe was like, oh no, but we'll talk. And I'm curious what would have happened if I had spent a string or like a roll of hot or something to make it so Wolfe got on the back of the motorcycle and
Mhm.
went with him instead of ending up going to the gazebo like with Bridget and having that whole first moment there. What the campaign could have looked like that.
It's solid.
I think that's a big one. Another big one that I think about is what if Corey had agreed to let Jack become his new
That's a good
patron.
one. That's a good one.
Ooh. I
I
like
think-
that.
I think that one would have been like just like I feel like those are 2 very big moments that could have impacted like the entirety of the way season 1 happened and then how season 2 happened.
Yeah, I think about what if Corey had trusted Crina when going to get what's her face from
Elias. I don't even know her
Yeah.
name. How can I trust you?
Because I'm not Crina, Kayla. I always think Elias is the boy. I don't know, it just sounds masculine in my head. I don't know. But yeah, I think that like how might that have gone differently? Because I don't think Corey would have gone darkest self at that point, and wouldn't have like been like the shaky needy kind of thing that the Infernal becomes when they're in darkest self, and like how that might have changed things. I think it would have ended up affecting Corey and Crina's relationship because she would have I think it taught her to like not like there are limits to how far she can push Corey, kind of thing. So I don't know. I think about that. I think that was probably the biggest like pivotal thing that like Crina was involved with, because I remember I tried to roll to like make that happen or something and it didn't work, or I tried to offer string and it didn't happen or something.
So this is not, I don't think there was, I can't remember. At the end of season 1, I can't remember if there was actually a roll or a string. I
Okay.
think I just tried to do it via role play, but like what if I had rolled or had done a string? But like what if Wolfe was able to at the lumber mill like actually convince Bridget to stop doing what she was doing? I guess at this point I could just say, what if Wolfe could ever convince Bridget to stop doing what she's doing? Because every single time he tried to, it just didn't work. But
I wonder kind of the opposite too. What if Bridget had been able to really get Wolfe to see, you know, her side, and he became the super supportive, yep, you know,
My baby's gonna
Aphrodite,
rule the
this is the
world.
best way to do it kind of guy.
it'd be very different.
Yeah.
I wonder what it would have been like if Donovan hadn't poked his nose into everyone's issues.
Or failed like every dark roll.
Failed every dark roll.
Worst vampire.
It's aliens, guys. It's
They'll just
aliens
be-
and Cthulhu.
He'll just be playing video games off in the corner while everyone else is
Yeah.
trying to figure out this shit.
Or think about all the people who, not all the people, but at the very beginning when Bridget's gang was going after Corey and Donovan.
Oh,
If they had
yeah.
actually got somebody on their side early,
Yeah, I
yeah.
wonder
could have really changed things.
that might have actually like
Oh, yeah.
persuaded Wolfe to stop
Oh,
being so
man.
against it.
Or when they were trying to like hurt Crina, like that would have really changed how Crina like interacted with Bridget for
Right.
sure.
Ooh, what? Oh yeah. What if they had
Like
gotten
okay, so
Corey?
like what if Natalie as our like antagonist, not villain, antagonist, had just like done anything differently? Like all that power she had over the first season.
What if
Yes,
she had
what-
been smart?
Teenagers are
The problem was her minions were only capable against NPCs, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah,
Chase.
Emily. Just-
No,
Poor
Chase.
sweet Chase.
Poor sweet Chase. Man, what if Chase survived and like
What if
like,
it was Wolfe who got murdered by Zeus instead
Yeah, what
of
if it
Chase?
was Wolf?
I
Yeah.
enjoyed
Fine, just have him
flustering
come back as a
Chase.
ghost.
Flustering
Yeah,
Chase was
then he would
great.
just come back as a ghost.
yeah, but Ghost Wolf would have been so different. That would
Yeah,
have been a
Ghost
very
Wolf would have been
different
a good one.
season.
Would it have?
I
Yeah,
think
Wolf
so.
is real good at being sad while
He's
living.
already super
so
traumatized. So
Maybe it would have been upbeat.
Yeah, maybe
Jasper.
you would have had a whole new perspective. I don't know.
Super
Yeah,
peppy.
that's a
Yeah.
yeah,
thought.
because that's
What-
how the ghost skin works.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's a fun. What if Corey had become one of them and like championed like Bridget's Aphrodite Greek pantheon unite? Like
Yeah.
that would have been fun.
Second
Somebody write
season's
that
just about
that
obliterating
fanfic.
the
I'm expecting
non-believers.
a like 75,000 word like epic fanfic based on that.
Mm.
Like that's the kind of shit fanfic was made for.
What
That's
if Bridget had been nice and just tried to like win people over by being the nice person?
Oh yeah.
nice.
We'd
Cult of
all have been one
personality.
of them.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah. What if Zeus had never like had that mean freak out on Corey and like told him he wasn't as worthwhile and Corey was just loyal?
What if Zeus had been serious about pursuing Crina?
I've started watching Riverdale in the last like month, and
Yeah.
just seeing
Uh-oh.
that Cheryl Blossom is just Bridget season 1 and was already done has made me so angry.
All right, another question.
Hey, Zeus, first of all, Zeus was serious about pursuing Crina. Okay. He's God, he works
He got
long term.
distracted.
He gets distracted
Kept
sometimes.
texting teenagers.
I only have so many mechanics to employ.
What if Crina and Bridget had never had a falling out and it would have been the Fae and the Queen? Like
Yeah, that's. I think you've talked about that, Brian, but don't you feel like that's the like most scary combination is like a Fae and Queen who get along?
A Fae and a Queen are very, very powerful combination. It's true. Yeah.
It's terrifying.
It is. It's
Promises from hell.
it sounds fun.
Honestly,
yeah.
I had never intended to make Crina a cheerleader. That wasn't part of Natalie's plan for that.
I love
So I wonder
that.
a lot
I
though if
loved
Bridget
it.
had been like, no, like that's not what we're doing. Crina is our outside agent. And we'll
She
just
might
get
have
to
stuck
keep doing
around
Crina
longer.
things.
Yeah.
I'd still love the line. I'm small and I could get hurt.
That's not how she said it.
How did she say it?
I'm small and like I could get hurt. Like
Yeah,
like she's giving a convenient excuse. She wasn't actually scared.
I know, but just like but it's funny. It's cute how she says it, and it's cute.
I had almost taken, instead of the Hunger for Thrills,
Hmm.
I had talked to Brian about taking the dark power related moves, but to the family and Vincenzo as part of season 1,
Ooh.
which would have certainly put a different spin on the political machinations going
Yeah,
on.
that would have
Oh,
been
for
interesting in season
sure.
2.
Yeah.
I think we've touched on this a little bit in some of our answers, so I think it's a good question to follow up with. If you hadn't played the character that you did play, what was your other choice? Was there another skin?
Witch.
What?
Ooh.
I wanted to be a witch.
Oh, I thought you were correcting my grammar. Like WHICH. And I was like,
No.
what? There's nothing wrong with what I'm saying.
Witch.
You wanted to be a witch.
Yeah, it was a runner up. It was a close second, I think.
I'm not surprised that you have an opinion here because this is one of your questions.
And if
how many questions did I submit, Brian?
A few, yeah.
and if Stephanie hadn't been a Fae, I probably would have played a Fae.
I think
Oh, Rob Fay.
I
don't
think
know.
if I had not played Corey, there's a chance I might have played Thad if Brian would have let me get away with it, who was a werewolf.
Oh, yeah, because
Hmm.
because Corey was an idea that you only got to flesh out like a little bit from a one shot
Yes.
that
That
I
I was
made
in.
you
You were in,
change
yes.
a bit in order to bring it here because we didn't
Yes.
want any history.
Yes.
And Thad was the same idea. He was from another. Well, he was at this point he had been in like a 2-shot.
Yeah.
But he loved Jesus. He's just a
French
werewolf who loves
werewolf?
Jesus.
French werewolf Jesus,
French werewolf
man.
Jesus. Let's see.
French werewolf
If
Jesus.
I didn't play Wolf, I might have played
Okay.
Kanan, who at the
Ooh.
time was an Infernal, who I played in a one-shot. My very first Monsterhearts 2 one-shot. He was an Infernal. Might have played a Ghost, or might have just played Gray, but he'd also probably have been Immortal. But just very different than from Wolf.
Tell us who Gray is.
Oh, Gray is Wolf's twin, who in other, universes exist, and there's Gray and Wolf. So just imagine all of the really sad parts about Wolf, take those parts and then make him really mean. And
Are
then
you
you
telling me
have
I
Gray.
could have had twins?
Yeah, you were supposed to have twins. Then I opened up my big fat mouth and mentioned it. And then Brian was like, "No." I think
okay.
if I had not
Darn.
said anything, I think Wolf would have been a twin.
There's
But
always
Wolf
college.
would have also been very different if his
Yes.
twin existed. So
yeah, that's
because
true.
the Wolf we got here was like a merger of the two.
I came in wanting to play Queen. I think I said I want to play Queen, and then Brian said, "Don't claim skins until we have the whole cast together." And then we got the full class together. I said Queen, but Mortal is my favorite skin in Monsterhearts. Like I just love playing stupid
It's
mortals
a good skin.
and
It's a
walking
good
into
skin.
making bad choices intentionally. Like the skin encourages you to do
It's-
that.
Yeah,
It's
I
fun.
am a big fan of the Infernal skin, so I feel like getting led there was just sort of apropos.
I think that works into another question that Stephanie submitted really well is, are there other skins out there that you are really excited to play? Now that you got a little more free time coming up, maybe.
I haven't actually played a ghoul yet, and Brian always says if you want to like really experience Monsterhearts, you need to play a ghoul. So I need to
Is
play
that
a
what I
ghoul.
say? I say that?
Yeah, you say things about ghouls all the time.
I at one point I did sort of fall in love with their main mechanic, their hunger mechanic. I will say that.
I do
It's-
enjoy ghouls.
I have thoughts about ghouls.
There's a mechanic that I find missing slightly from the ghoul for long-term play.
Agreed.
But-
I think we're on the same
Yeah.
wavelength there.
But
Well,
we've-
don't keep it to yourselves.
Oh,
Tell
okay.
the
So
audience.
so I'll tell the audience. So there isn't really a mechanical way for ghouls to get rid of their hunger. And so if you play a ghoul that's very sexually active or has been around for a while and therefore had more sex, you end up with like 10 hungers, some of which can be like dichotomous of each other and impossible to like fulfill, and it gets very tearing. We did I will say, in a homebrew fashion, I have a magician character, and part of their magic, we created a small like mini game system to help alleviate hungers.
So now you have to explain to everyone what a magician is.
A magician is Aid skin. Aid, explain.
Oh, so I wanted to make a skin that was magic flavored, but not so specific as the witches, because the witch is all centered around like hexes, and also it has that sort of like witchy flavor to it. So I wanted something a little more flexible, so I made a magician. And they can do their main mechanic is being able to cast spells based around what resonance they choose. So you could be like an elemental mage or like
Life
a
resonance.
life mage. But it's a skin that is still in the works, and it takes a lot of work between the player and the MC, because it's really up to the MC about what a teenage magician might be able to do. You know, you're not about to go set an entire forest on fire.
But you could choke
Probably.
out half of your classmates by accident when in darkest self.
I think honestly a ghoul would work well with the way I play Monsterhearts, which anyone who has played Monsterhearts with me knows it tends to be less sex focused and less like sex is a big thing that happens instead of a every episode occurrence. And they tend to be more horror-y, and I honestly think I'd really like to play a ghoul in my sort of flavor of Monsterhearts campaigns.
That's fair. No, that's a mood. I think
Horror hearts.
horror hearts.
Or
Hearts.
hearts.
Yeah.
I think a skin that
Horror hearts.
I haven't played a ghost. I believe a ghost
I
is
think
the
I'd
only
like to play a ghost again.
it's the only skin I've never played from the core book. So I guess theoretically I should try that sometimes to say I could complete them all.
Ghosty
But I
ghost,
also
you're
just
dead.
like having traumatized characters. So.
I really like Infernals. Yeah. Serpentine. Serpentine is a skin I haven't tried and would very much like to try. It's very much
Ooh.
in my wheelhouse of characters.
Oh,
I like.
that's I almost played a Serpentine actually. As much as I wanted to play a witch, Serpentine really, really spoke to me. But I think ultimately I didn't want to play something outside of the like core
Mhm.
skins, because I one shot in one campaign before we started Gehenna Valley, and like ultimately I think I'm glad that I didn't play the Serpentine, even though I was really on the fence between Fae and Serpentine, because Corey is a Serpentine just without being a literal snake.
He's an
thing.
infernal. He's an infernal.
No,
The
but he's
way-
got the family
He's got the
aspect
family
of
but
it.
this is
dynamic.
what I was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so the Serpentine skin is written that you have a family legacy, for those who have not read it. It's available for free on Avery's website. But the whole idea is that you have a family legacy that has fallen, and it is your job and your burden to restore it. Also, you're literally a lizard snake person.
He's cool.
Yeah.
That's the monster part. And that's basically everything that's like unique and interesting about the Serpentine skin. Corey basically did. So like having a Serpentine in the game would not have like added anything, I don't think.
Hmm.
Well, it could have just been different also. Like,
We could have had
maybe-
family wars. We could have been the Hatfield
Yeah,
boys with our
but-
romance.
I mean, like it's not saying that it couldn't work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was more interesting that I ended up playing a Fae.
No, I agree.
But the skin that I am most excited to play is the skin I'm playing next.
but it's
Yeah.
secrets.
It's
Secrets.
Oh, but where is that something that anyone will be able to learn more about later on?
Yeah,
Yes,
on
they can.
April 8th, a week from Thursday. You guys can tune in over to Carrying Comfort and watch Comfort County High,
Uh-huh.
where Natalie is the MC, and I'll be playing in it.
Yay.
And then you can see my new character.
Rob, did you get to answer that question?
No, and I honestly am not sure. Like the Fae idea I had thought about for this game was someone who was pretty dark and manipulative to get people into bargains, just to like really drive the XP mechanic, but from the perspective of like tempting mortals into those dark promises, like be careful what you ask for kind of idea. Which would have been fun. I do really want to play a witch at some point, from like a kind of like wounded vengeance perspective, like the kid who always believed in magic and got made fun of, and then like, oh, actually now it works. You're in trouble. I like that idea, and I have this idea to take it to somewhat of a cult idea, combining it with aspects of the queen.
Ooh.
I know the character concept that I'm sitting on right now for my next game I get to play in is I really want to play a werewolf again. For those of you who haven't seen a werewolf in play, once they go darkest self, they go full werewolf, and they are a powerhouse of pain and destruction. And the character concept in my head, I've told some people about this, is instead of a werewolf, you do all the mechanics the same. You take the skin just as it is, but instead of turning into a werewolf when you go darkest self, you turn into a cat girl.
Yes.
It's just ears, a tail, and some claws, and you're still just as strong and as powerful and crazed.
I love it.
So,
I love it too.
Completely feral, like TikTok fat cat girl, like
But like dangerous and deadly.
super dangerous, just insane.
Not
dangerous.
just cute.
Like
Right.
Very
laser
scary.
claws. I love it.
I just feel like that would be so much fun. I don't know. I feel
love
like
that idea.
I could play like
Would they-
campaign of that character.
But would they be able to talk, or would they be like snarl, like feral?
I think they would
like-
be all snarls. Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
cute purr sounds.
Don't call them cute. I don't think that's gonna work out for you.
Oh, not when they're darkest self.
No, when they're in darkest self. No.
If we had to go non-Avery skins,
Yeah.
I really like, as you've seen, Mantra that is happening here, the one shot. They're showing off skins and settings developed by our very own nobleman, Nick Francia. There's one called the Echidna that I played in a playtest one shot that I would love to play in a full campaign.
Tell us a
I
little
was
about
there.
it. What's an echidna?
It's based on this idea of mother of all monsters. And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to
From
give too much
Classic
away
Legend.
because it's not out yet. Yep, from
Oh,
Classic
okay.
Legend.
Okay.
But yeah, I enjoy that one shot very much, and it's a very different skin.
That would be fun to play with like a drag queen character, which I thought about too. Interesting.
Oh yeah. Uh-oh, Rob's introducing someone new to Heartspace.
Oh, no. Yo,
Okay.
I want to play Ryan in a campaign.
Oh, Ryan.
Tell the audience who Ryan
So,
is.
Yeah, you gotta
Ryan
remember
is-
that like not everyone who
Yes,
watches
yes,
our
yes.
show
I was-
is on the server.
I was gonna get there. I was
We're gonna get
getting
there.
there. So Ryan is a hollow that I played over VHC this year. And his whole spiel was that he's like kind of like a pre-infernal, so he was being raised to be a vessel for this eldritch god, and he was like spoiled, like think Corey, but like without any actual powers. So he was spoiled, he got everything he wanted, but the he went through all these like rituals to become this vessel and become linked with this eldritch god. And as I've played him in Heartspace, I picked up disciple moves to show how, even though he's not, and he was busted out of the cult was broken up, and he's now lives with like foster parents who like are not cult people. So but I picked up disciple moves because it shows that even though he's not in this cult anymore, this connection still exists. So it's just like this ticking time bomb of like, when will this evil eldritch god show up? Or just maybe not evil, just normal eldritch god.
Memorial Day.
Heartspace is a Discord game where people pretend to be on like Twitter with their various different characters and talk to each other.
Monsterhearts characters. Maybe some Monster of the Week sneaking in.
Yeah, you know how it is. Cool. I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. There was a question that had a few different versions of, and I like Rob's version. That's the one I'm going to read.
Ooh.
What's your favorite moment? Rob says in season 2, but I'm going to make it more open-ended because of the other versions, the other questions. What's your favorite moment that you weren't part of, that other people's characters were part of, but not you? Oh yeah, I mean,
Let me
throwing it
think.
out there.
You go ahead, Rob. This was your question, so you go ahead.
I was gonna say mine is Bridget bringing Wolfe into her cult, her group, and the bunny ritual. I loved that. Just the emotional aspect. It had that gore aspect, the horror. It was suspenseful. Kudos to Brian as well. So that I loved all of that.
So I think mine is going to be at the end of season 2, actually, when Jack and Crina and kind of like the whole when they were doing the Phaline thing and like the Guardians of the Galaxy moment that they were having and and all of that. That was pretty cool.
I really like it. It's in season 1, but I just really like the bathroom scene with Wolfe and Donovan. I think it's like the dumbest, cutest thing.
Oh, with the in the nurse's
Something's
office.
wrong with my back.
Yes.
Oh,
Okay.
that was
Yeah.
that was great.
It was
That
just very
cute.
funny. Yeah.
Wolf was trying real hard.
Donovan's like, "What is your deal? What is going
What is
on?
going on? Are you trying? Like, are you still trying to flirt with? Like, it was very funny.
I liked all the Alistair.
You are muted, Natalie.
The audience could hear me, but you guys couldn't because the
Oh,
cat hit the
sorry.
mute button. I really liked all the Alistair Crina stuff this season. That was probably my favorite thing this season.
Alistair is so tough to play.
Yeah.
I don't want to diminish you loving Alistair and Crina because it's good, it's great, but he's definitely not one of the characters that like flows super quickly. Like he's got issues and standards, and he's confused,
I get that.
and so I'm glad that people like him because he could totally have just been a total tool, and I think sometimes he is anyway. And he's just really trying, he tries so hard.
Oh, well, he has that in common with Wolf. He also tries real hard.
And then beyond that, I think the family dinner with Donovan and Wolf this season was really good.
Oh, that was a good one.
Enjoyed that. Thank you.
I think Crina in the field was also a good one. With that monster that shapeshift.
What were you going to say, Stephanie?
I just keep coming back to when Bridget sacrificed the rabbit, with it ripping it apart with her bare hand.
Oh yeah.
And then when she was back in the lumber mill and sliced herself and started the orgy, Natalie's really good at these moments.
Oh, high school.
But then also I
trauma.
really like the cute, sweet moments with Bridget and Wolf, when they were dating, but also when Bridget was just trying to be friends and figure that out, and that connection that they have was really sweet.
Yeah, all the rooftop scenes were.
Yeah, I was gonna say that, but I couldn't because it was my scene. But I really liked it, especially the last one when they were on the roof together and they finally came to terms with just being friends and being there for each other. It was really sweet. I really liked it.
Yeah, and let's open it up now. What is there a scene that you loved that you felt like you couldn't say because you were in it that you think needs to get mentioned?
I still love Hey Bunny. I'm sorry, but everyone's face when I first did that,
That was great.
Wait, what are we talking about? What?
The next morning when I started calling Wolfe Bunny.
Oh,
Hey,
right,
Bunny.
right.
That was a good one.
Right
Wolfe
after I
was just
killed a
like,
rabbit. Yeah.
Oh. I still love Viridius and Corey in the car. Viridius like doing
It's
his like,
great.
I'm a dad and I'm gonna talk to you about life for a second, and maybe scare the shit out of you. That brings me joy.
I really, really love all of the like sweet moments that Corey and Crina had on like the back half of season 2,
Mhm.
where it's just like showing the ways that they've grown, but like especially the ways that Corey has grown and is like when Mixerpani was like, okay, like Corey was gonna stay with them, and Crina would have been like I think season one Crina would be like, no, you have to come stay with me, kind of thing. But like asking Corey like, is this what you want? And then like respecting that decision and supporting that decision, and but also Corey having like the self awareness and the personal growth to be like, no, I think I need this,
Mhm.
even though it's not really what I want to do. I think it's what I need to do. Like it makes me so happy.
I think I really another one along those lines is just the scene of Corey pushing Donovan up, and like Donovan pushing Corey up against the logger and Corey biting his thumb. Like, that was just absurd. But also on a more serious note, on like the back half of season 1, I feel like there were just like a lot of these good moments of like Corey and Crina in a car with Corey really articulating why he felt he couldn't be with her, and her pushing back on that, like, was very wholesome. Well, not wholesome, but it was
Yeah.
just
Wholesome.
it was intense, and it was like good.
It was sweet.
you know, sorry, go ahead, Rob.
I was gonna say, I think of the scene of Donovan and Wolfe talking in the car, and Donovan was like had a hand on the car door because he was ready to bolt. But my real favorite is just ripping into Walt in season 1. And that went almost immediately into the scene with like Corey trying to be like, Crina's Fae and you're a vampire, and Crina and Donovan are in the car like, oh my god, no way.
Yeah,
So just that like block of scenes was so
that dichotomous.
much fun.
Just
It was really fun to like fuck around with Donovan's car because I was mad that like Donovan and Corey wouldn't talk with Crina there. It's like, I'm gonna push every button in your car. Fuck up all your settings.
that was a good moment.
She's so angry. It's gonna make sure you know it, but doesn't actually want to like hurt you.
Oh, that was also when Corey was like, yeah, it was like, you can take some money and buy some coffee. And Donovan's like, what is wrong with you?
Here, get yourself a coffee.
I also really liked the it was the scene that we did at the end of the last Q&A where Donovan just went on his like 3-minute spiel of like can't stop talking, and Wolfe was just like, oh my god, I get it, shut up.
That was a good one.
Then they kissed.
There's
Sliding.
this-
Oh. You go.
I would say there was that scene where Corey took Donovan and Crina to his place to like get stuff from the
Oh, he's from his
shrine, and Corey's like, whatever, they're my friends, it's fine. She's hot, he's not poor, it's cool, they can be here. And then like Donovan comes up and is like making eyes, like gives Aitor a condition, and Crina's just like, I'm afraid he'll fuck with me in her face, and gives Aitor a condition, and Aitor's just like, what is happening? That was a good scene.
Yeah.
Sliding back to an earlier question
Okay.
about choices. What if when Donovan had been like, let's leave town, Corey was like, fuck yeah, I got a to-go bag ready.
Well, Donovan probably would have been like, you're not understanding my lesson here.
Oh, you mean the scene in season 2?
In season 2, yeah, it's season 2.
Yeah, you would have been like, ugh.
That's not the point.
That's not
Yeah.
the point.
That was all part of the trick.
That's funny. How about another heartfelt moment?
Ooh, okay.
Another
Sure,
heartfelt
cry.
moment.
I love crying.
Yeah,
crying.
same way.
This one is from Betty.
Oh no.
Betty.
Yeah. I will call you Betty. Betty when you call. Anyway, Betty says, I'm so glad that I found Gehenna Valley and all of you. It was my first experience with Monsterhearts, which of course now I love. But more than that, I've been drawn into a wonderful, active community and have made so many good friends and played in so many good games because I was bored one day and found your stream. You're all wonderful, creative, beautiful souls, and I'm so glad that I found you and got to enjoy so many fun hours of your characters.
Oh, thanks, Betty.
Thank you, Betty.
Betty. You're a beautiful soul, Betty.
Yeah.
My shreds
That.
of a dark one, thank you.
What?
What's left of my soul.
Let's do a self-indulgent question. I want to know
Who's the
about
best MC?
the best
Brian.
MC on
Brian.
this show.
Brian.
Brian's the best
Brian.
MC.
I want to know what NPCs people really liked and what NPCs they wish they knew more about.
Oh, I have a good answer for this. So I did something that I wanted to explore more in season 2, but then totally forgot about was the Wolf-Bex rivalry.
Oh yeah.
But you
We
know,
totally
that's
forgot
okay.
about that. And season
We-
season 1 it existed, and season 2 was like,
Just don't need it.
Bex is a girlfriend now. It's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
He's
But-
busy. They're busy.
I do like Bex.
I
I
did
love
want
my
Bex-
jury. I love them.
I did want Bex to die.
You love your jury.
I love my jury. All 3 of them. Perfect. Love them.
I loved my gang too, the weirdos. I
Yeah.
also wish we learned more about Miss Cleaver.
Yeah, Miss Cleaver was on that list.
I'm curious what you had.
Yeah, can you tell us about that?
No, because I don't plan things.
There was nothing.
Yeah.
I introduce things, and then I see where you fail, and depending on where you fail, that's how people become interesting.
But you also named
Yeah.
them like Miss
Miss
Cleaver.
Cleaver.
That's like a very ominous
It's
name.
a great name.
She
I love
likes
that
to-
name.
Cook.
Right. It's like the
It was
leave
because
it
she was
to
going to have a different name, and I pointed out to Brian that that's a name that children would be awful about, so that might not be her
right.
name.
I forget what it was. We don't. If you remember it, it's awful. We
Beaver.
don't. What?
Miss Beaver.
Miss Beaver. That's right. like, leave it to
Right.
Beaver.
I was like,
forgot
people are
about
going to
that.
make really terrible, dirty jokes that aren't funny
Yeah.
about that
Yeah.
constantly. Like, are you sure you want that?
Eee.
So we switched it to Cleaver, and it's just she got a good opening. She got her foot in the door, and then we
Stayed
went in
there.
other directions. It's just the way it is.
Miss Abel's cousin.
I'm still really intrigued by whatever was going on with one of Bridget's moms. I don't forget which one it was.
There
but
is a little unresolved stuff there with Bridget's family.
yeah.
You know,
Maybe
Tara's
we'll
got
find
the,
out at prom.
Maybe we'll
Prom,
find
prom, prom.
dun.
some say she's still handing out candy to this day. Says the chat.
Oh,
I'm not a
hydrate.
drinks, Big Dad. I'm sorry. I drank all my
Hydrate.
drinks. I have nothing more to drink.
You pre-hydrated.
I'll take 2 sips for you.
Thanks, Kayla. We'll just transfer through the ether to me. It's cool.
Just like sleep, right? That's how
Yeah,
it works.
No.
Osmosis.
Neither of us
Do not
have any of
drink
that
the
to hand
cat
out.
water.
No, it's got cat food in it because she won't stop doing that.
Oh.
I think who else? I would have liked to have maybe seen a little bit more of Corey's terrible mom in season 2.
We only did get a little bit of Corey's mom.
But
That's
she
true.
was so she was worse than Itor when we saw her. She was bad, and so I'm curious.
She
really,
tried to slap him.
Yeah.
I wanted to make her walk away very far
Long walk off
and
the
not
short
come
cliff.
back. Yeah, I really wanted to send her to Milan and just
You'll love Milan. It's beautiful this time of year.
now walk there. Oops.
This is gonna sound weird, but I wanted more Milo.
Okay. Why is that
Uh,
weird? He doesn't have
I don't know
to be
because like
weird.
they had such a small role. I just like had this idea that like there's always this like weird nebulous. Neither Crina nor Milo really know which of them is the other's drug hookup, but they exchange drugs a lot.
Yeah. Sometimes you just have to have a person to share with, like
Mhm.
Crina's like, yeah, I brought back some of the Fey weed. Like, can you get me some like of this thing? Like,
I really liked Emily.
Corey.
Snooping into details,
Yeah.
pissing off
Too
Corey.
bad she didn't come.
I have
out
2
more
strings on
enough.
Emily that I have not yet gotten to use because she kept breaking promises to
you
me.
got
Target from
one more
Bridget.
night.
Prom.
Prom's coming up.
Make- Have her have the
casually
Carrie
just-
moment at prom.
Please, I beg. Corey hates her.
Oh, Crina wouldn't do that.
Corey would.
No.
It's gonna be like a year and a half later.
Corey forever holds grudge against
Promises
Emily.
do not have an expiration
That's
date.
right. Promises to
or
forever.
Oh, I
statute
just
of
meant to-
limitations.
Kay's expression of hate.
Oh no, Corey will never.
Corey holds
forgive.
grudges.
There's a couple of grudges that he has, and considering how everything fell out with his family, just the way Emily hit on that in a public newspaper forum.
Yeah, we really have to decide if any of your family like hasn't walked to like Russia by
Yeah,
the end of senior year.
this is true. Yeah, we'll figure out what you. Well,
What if
theoretically,
did they learn to put up actual iron gates?
yeah, did they learn to put-
You can't go in. Yeah.
That's very
Yeah, that's
silly.
weird.
Bridget
Yeah.
just took the house over. Like, mine now.
I live here now.
Yeah. This is my shrine.
Wow.
I like that
okay.
idea actually. Let's
Yeah.
pin that, Natalie.
If anything, Corey takes the house. It's his family house.
Nope. You lost it.
Too many bad
Sorry.
memories. You don't want to live there.
Yeah, you don't want to live there. It's a blood money house. It's
Yeah.
So
We can just
I
bulldoze it one day.
We'll just bulldoze it one day and make a bunch of like houses so we can all live together on it. Sounds good.
commune.
Commune.
No joke. That is legitimately what I want. I'm not like people have heard me go on these rants. That is what I want.
Several people asked about what happens after high school. To the point where I'm not asking you now. I want to save it, and we're going to come back from the break because that I think everyone. I know y'all have thought about this a little bit, so we're going to save that. We're going to save that question. We're going to do that when we take our break. We'll come back and do that one.
It's hard
because-
to answer because of prom.
Well, you just
What are their plans right now?
it's
before
it's just
prom.
you're writing your fan fiction. Don't worry about
Don't think too deeply into it.
yeah.
But like think about it.
Yeah. Here's a good anonymous question. Anonymous asks, if you could swap your skins with any other PC, which one and why? This is like a really weird theoretical question I
Ooh.
like.
Hmm.
But like, I want these two people to swap.
Yeah. I feel like we've talked about this before. Maybe
Have
I'm
we?
going crazy.
I don't think so.
Well, there was like speculation of like, oh, what if so and so was this other skin instead? Haha.
Yeah.
Thing. It was just similar, but it just limits it to the 5 of us, the 5 skins that we have.
I mean,
Yeah.
Well, yes, 7 technically.
one
Yeah.
thing I considered was Bridget getting someone to turn her into a vampire. So it was one outcome this season I thought might be. And
Can you imagine like Donovan as
Donovan
the queen?
Yeah, I was just about
Oh,
to
it's
say.
Queen Donovan.
Queen Donovan, especially like
What is-
season 2 Donovan
Rob
is like
likes
trying
this
to invest
idea.
themselves
Rob likes
in the
this idea a
community.
lot.
Yeah.
Look at that face.
Mm.
I've got one for you.
Yeah.
For a long time, I think up to about 2/3 of the way through season 1, I thought that a strong possibility, perhaps even a likely possibility, of the direction Crina's character arc was going to go in, was that she was going to end up more or less renouncing her Fae powers.
Oh, go mortal.
We ended up with the opposite, of course.
Yeah.
But I really thought that like she would get super burned on being Fae and how like the way that makes her an outcast in her life. So yeah, I was really foreseeing for quite a while that she was going to be immortal for season 2.
Mm.
So now think about Wolfe as a Fae.
Ooh.
Wolf as a Fae.
Well, see, I think it would be less Wolf as a Fae and more like Wolf as a Chosen. Could have been an
No,
option.
but we'd be swapping.
It's a swap. Well,
Oh, is it meant to be a direct swap?
That's what it says. It
That's
says
what
swap,
we're- yeah,
but
yeah.
Wait, so then who does Corey swap with? There's only 5 people.
Corey
But
starts as a chosen and ends as an infernal.
he swaps with
You
himself.
can still swap with it. Like pretend no one has swapped yet. Pretend you're the
Yeah.
only one making this.
Yeah.
swap.
Okay.
Because I could have seen in season 1, Corey could have been a queen. I could have seen,
Season 1 Corey could have gone queen. I
and the
think.
way, especially
He
with
kind
the-
of was.
yeah. Whoa. And Bridget as an infernal absolutely makes a ton of sense. Bridget could have been
Yeah.
an infernal in season 2 if that season 1 had ended a little bit differently.
Yeah.
You know.
What if Crina had taken Zeus?
Yeah.
What if we
Like,
were all
we have
just Infernals?
Krina the
All
Infernal
Infernal
and
campaign.
Corey the Fae? Because I don't think Corey would taken like I don't have power anymore. Like I don't think he would have taken that line down. He might have gone to the Fae and be like, "Yo,
Yeah.
give me power."
I was gonna say all Infernal campaign where we all have like Greek gods, but then I think that might just be like Scion instead of
We just
Monster.
all pick sides. I also like the idea, because this was something I was playing around as we were going into season 2 of a hollow Corey after an infernal Corey. Instead of chosen, that had been on the option board.
The option board.
The option board of what we were playing with, considering what he had lost and how a lot of his identity was built upon, and probably still even as a chosen is built upon his like life with his family and Zeus. So that could have been an interesting dive at him, instead of him focusing in on that to try and like protect people, him losing that sense.
That's good. I like that.
Yeah. And we could all switch with Wolfe and become werewolves.
Yes.
Yes.
Werewolf. Wolf is definitely
Wolf is
a werewolf.
definitely a werewolf.
He has been this whole time.
Yep. A whole
Surprise.
surprise.
This isn't. It's not a switch. Although I do think like a Donovan and as an infernal would be interesting. Although obviously I took the
Yeah.
patron.
Yeah.
But I really thought about it as the end of season 1 like move, grown up move, switching Donovan's skin maybe, using like the blood scroll and all the stuff he's collected, and he does a ritual so he's not a vampire anymore now that he's kind of like found a home, and turning him into a witch.
Yeah, we really didn't come back to those artifacts.
Yeah,
we
that was
picked up in
something.
Season 1.
I would have liked to have dealt with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I
so
remember
much time.
because one of them you specifically mentioned one of them being like a piece of like broken iron or something.
Yeah.
And I was keeping an eye out for where that ended up because like it was gonna burn Crina if she touched it, kind of thing.
Ooh. Well,
Yeah.
that's what
Darn.
prom's for, right? We're gonna prom is gonna
Prom.
wrap up.
We're not
every
actually going to go to
single-
prom. We're just going to sit in Donovan's
Why
house.
is the theme of prom Iron City?
It's a different kind of iron.
Yeah. It's golf.
Lost
It's golf
treasures of mythological. What? What is this? Why is prom in Corey's old house?
When we can blow it up.
Oh, God.
Burn it down.
No.
Yes. So we have a lighter question.
Yes.
A little light.
Give us a palate
Us.
cleanser, Brian.
Yes. Stephanie, whoever that might be, wants to know what your Monday night routine is to prep for Gehenna Valley. I'll start. I'll let you know mine. Well, I go to work, and it's Monday, which means I'm tired, and it's probably super stressful. And then at some point towards the end of the day, I realize I haven't done the notes to read at the beginning of what happened last time. So I try to find time to do that while I'm working, and I end up rushing them completely. Then I either keep working because I feel like I haven't done enough work because of that and end up rushing, or I go and cook dinner, completely lose track of time. Either way, I'm probably not actually getting ready for the stream. I might put some lipstick on or something, or change my shirt so I don't look like I just came from work when the stream starts. And that's how I spend my Monday.
I got a pretty good one, kind of.
You got a good one?
The same
Okay.
vein. So, after work, I'm like, okay, I gotta start getting ready by 6:30. But then usually dinner isn't ready until at least 6:15. So then I'm late to start getting ready, and then we're all supposed to be here at 7:15 to like before the stream, and I'm never on time. But I do listen to my Wolfe playlist, so there's that. That's about all of my preparation. During season 1, I used to take notes, and then I stopped. So hopefully I can remember what I want Wolfe to do today by the time that the stream starts.
I still haven't gotten to a routine. We'll see about next week.
There's still time.
Yeah, I would like do a lot of makeup in the morning, which means that like I'm really unhappy with the way it looks like come 6 o'clock, because it's mostly faded. You can't really see it on the stream anymore. But I'm like, oh well, it looks so good this morning at 8:30 when I did it. But then I would get this. I work here at this desk. Like this is where I work. So I literally just like moved from one monitor to a different monitor. Like before I moved and I had a smaller desk, I literally unplugged my monitor out of one computer and plugged it into the other computer in order to like switch from work to personal. But now that I have a bigger desk, I just literally like pivot my chair. But then I'd start watching YouTube videos because that's how I like unwind, is have YouTube on while I'm doing other things. And I have ADHD, and time management's really hard when your executive functions don't function. So it's like, oh, it's okay. So I get off work at 5:30. I start watching YouTube videos around 5 because like nobody does any work at the end of the day. Let's be honest with ourselves here. And then I look up from the clock and it is 6:45, and I have half an hour to eat, you know, after having made the food, and touch up my makeup and like basically get ready for the stream. So I'm like literally like running around with my head cut off like this whole time. I'm like trying to put on makeup, I'm trying to get something food, I'm trying to do this thing and that thing and the other thing, and like Ashley, I'm never on time. I log it. People are pinging me like, where are you? Where are you? Where are you? I'm like, it is 7:28. I still have time. Leave me alone. And then I get out and I'm like, I'm sorry, I'm such a mess. And I'm like running back and forth from my kitchen and like trying to put the screen up and all this other stuff. But I've listened to Crina's playlist all day on loop like 6 times. And that's the most important part, for the character. But that's the secret of why I'm always eating on stream, because I forgot to eat dinner and now I'm shaky from low blood sugar.
Wow.
All right, Rob, what's your routine?
Work sometimes will go till 5 or 5:30 depending on meetings and other things going on. So I make sure I'm working out at lunch usually. Sometimes I have a follow-up exercise after work. I make sure I am cooking or reheating what I've prepared for dinner at 6. I eat from 6:15 to 6:45. At 6:45, I make sure to start, cleaning my face, organizing myself around my desk, verify my camera, turn on my light. I would do my eyes depending on how much eyeliner I needed, change my shirt, and make sure I was sitting down by 7:10.
Being early. What's
pretty
that
much
like?
my plan.
Oh, I
Proudly
forgot to
adult that's
say.
stuck into our game, y'all.
Yeah, so I go through my entire workday with like in pajamas, like no makeup. I put makeup on for the stream because I'm like, I gotta look good for all y'all. But I don't care what I look like for work.
Charlie is like, "Ooh, my name's Rob. I'm a professional," in the chat.
Don't you forget it.
See, I feel like if I'm just consistently late, then people will know. Like as we stream more, like just never expect me to be on time.
Oh, there you go.
If
There
you've
you
ever
go.
tried to meet
Lowered
me in person
expectations.
anywhere,
Yeah.
if you've ever tried to pick me up for something, you know the text that I send you like 10 minutes before you're supposed to be here. Please don't be early. I'm never on time for anything, y'all. I can't help it. I'm not the typical. What do you want from me?
That's silly. I like it. Make me happy. All right, let's see. What else we got? We got all sorts of things to choose from. Here's
I
one.
asked a lot of questions, Brian. Surely some of them are good.
I'm going through the questions. I just have to. It's hard to pick.
What about a non-Stephanie question?
We've done so many of those. Come on. I have to mix the Stephanie ones
There's
in.
only been like 3 of my questions asked so far.
Right. And she asked like 27. Okay.
Oh my God.
That's
So
so
I
many.
didn't ask
questions.
27 questions.
that
You told me it was
was
14 earlier.
Brian
a-
said
The
like
list
27.
is as long as Corey is tall.
It just keeps growing.
I thought I submitted like 7 or 8. And then Brian messaged me and said, "Did you submit 14 questions to this thing over the weekend?" I was like, I didn't really keep track and I was bored while we were driving.
if it makes you feel better, you've submitted some duplicates, so it wasn't really
Okay.
14.
Okay.
So this is a good Stephanie question. I like this question. did you have a character arc that you wanted your character to go through? And did it differ from any character arcs that you ended up having?
I think what I said was, and how much did it differ? Because it definitely didn't happen the way you thought.
Okay, I'll read it. It said, how did it differ from the arc they ended up having?
Well, I said one already. Like, I really thought Crina was going to, like, kind of renounce her fate powers and become normal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just become a lot more human. And the opposite happened.
I didn't expect Corey so quickly to like want out of his deal. I thought that would like last more than like, what was it, 3 episodes?
Oh.
Yeah. I think I expected and intended for Corey. I didn't expect to have a Donovan being like, what's wrong with you? What matters?
What do you care about?
What do you care about? like I expected him to like.
You're boring me. I'm going back to the cafeteria.
Yeah, I expected him to like coast more on drugs, alcohol, and sex for a lot longer.
What are you waiting for?
Yeah.
I thought Donovan at the beginning of season 2 would be more like crazy, thrill-seeking, going out and partying, doing terrible things. But that Wolfe just makes you feel, and then makes you mean, and then just.
But not mean enough that you didn't use the 7 strings you have on Corey.
I like to escalate it within the day, and I still have them for prom. So
Exactly.
And like Wolfe bringing Donovan out of darkest self that night after the dinner, when I had ideas for what was going to happen the rest of that evening and the next day. Totally. And then Donovan just felt guilty and terrible. And that just pervaded a lot of his like, oh, I'm a bad person again. All right.
I think for Wolfe, I think his arcs mainly went how I expected them to. Something that I didn't really get, there wasn't really a lot of time to explore would be Wolfe's insecurity with like how all of his friends are like super powered and he is just a normal ass human, like that I've explored in other places with him. But I think by the end of season 2 he is mostly like okay with his place in the world.
Great.
Who knows?
Time to change you.
All right, perfect. Well, you gotta wait until after college.
Yeah, not until 25 or something like that.
Wow.
Well, that's what Wilma said, right?
Yeah, not
We're
until
gonna-
25.
Yeah.
Wait, 25 is like several years after college. We can just
Yeah.
wait until right after college.
We'll just trap you in the Castile house when it blows up.
Listen, some of us didn't graduate from college for a while, all right?
That's
And
true.
it was
That's
perfectly fine. There was nothing wrong
true.
with
There ain't
that.
nothing wrong with that.
Back in the first season, one thing I really thought, it made sense at the time that Wolfe and Bridget broke up, but I really thought that Wolfe was going to be able to be the one who turned Bridget around. And he still kind of was in like a little bit.
He's
but-
like so bad at ever
Yeah.
convincing Bridget to do anything.
Yeah.
So he tried really hard, but
Yeah.
he never knew the right thing to say.
Yeah. And one thing we talked about at the very end, like the last episode the episode before last, when we took a break as we were channeling the Phalines, was Bridget possibly dying there and becoming a ghost for prom. But we ended up not going that direction because we wanted Corey to have a moment there. So we made it more Corey's moment. But Bridget might have died there.
Yeah.
There's still prom.
That's right. There's still time to die.
Yep.
You're looking to die. Still
Monster
prom.
There's still
Prom.
time for Ghost Wolf. Perfect.
Oh yeah, Ghost Bridget,
Vampire
Ghost
Wolf.
Wolf. All of it.
Full, all of us ghosts.
We all died.
Haunting
somehow.
the high school.
Everyone else becomes a ghost and Donovan somehow becomes human.
No,
Is
you'd,
there
like,
like a step above Fae? Could you become like a Fae plus
Archfey.
super Fae. Ooh,
Yeah.
yeah, Archfey.
Or
Yeah.
Crina
You
becomes
become a
That's the
literal
direction Crina's
pixie
going.
with wings and like you're like this big. And
The power is inverse to the height.
Oh God.
Really tiny, super powered.
Don't touch you and knock you on your feet.
That's cute. I like that a lot. It's really good.
Tinkerbell is terrifying in that light. Oh God.
You have to clap to keep her alive.
Oh, Crina, the dark powers is baffling.
I
That's
like
what I was
Crina
saying. Yeah,
as a dark power.
Crina becoming an archfey and then becoming
Mhm.
like a patron to someone.
Crina is terrified of that idea. Stephanie likes it.
Speaking of,
Corey just has a type, y'all, and it's called Dark Powers.
Rob had asked a question.
Ooh.
Sounds like something
Dare
I do.
he?
That's kind of touches on that. And Rob says, what was the defining growth or change your character experienced over the course of the 2 seasons? So I'm gonna zoom in on this one a little bit more. And I want to say, like, if there was one thing that really helped define who you were becoming, either a scene, a moment, a choice, not like a bunch of things. What do you think was a big deal for your character? Why you got all the giggles, Kay?
Because my first thought was Corey walking into the library to utilize it for the first time and realizing that you could learn things in a library.
That was a really cute scene. I liked that scene.
That was very
The friendly librarian you met at the friendly high school librarian.
and him learning that like you could learn things in a library and what there's actual use for this place other than sleep.
And then he brought the book to homeroom. Like, wow, did you guys know you could read these things?
Yeah.
Look at all the words on this thing.
Whoa, pictures too.
It was just very like that's my first thought.
I mean, it did scare some of us.
It did.
It was great. I love that.
That was a moment, yeah.
I think for Wolfe, it was probably when he finally opened up to Donovan about what was going on with him and his dad. Because, for one, it showed that he finally, after years and years and years of this happening, like, trusted someone enough to talk to about it. And then what Donovan said started him on the path of, like, oh, I am, like, actually worth things, and, like, this shouldn't be happening, and it's not okay, like, and that, like, just obviously very completely changes, like, who he becomes, like, as he grows.
I see you
dying.
thinking. Yeah. Chase dying. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a big one.
Yeah. That basically pushed all of season 2, Bridget, who decided she was going to keep everyone safe.
Hard
Yeah, I'm trying to
pick
just-
an exact moment for Crina, but it was over the night of trying to save Elias that ended up like the dash, like taking Corey to the Fey realm, and Crina like super leaning into like the Fey power dynamics of like there are rules and there are laws you have to follow as a Fey, is who gets claim over what human, and I am staking a claim as a Fey against my brother the king for this girl's soul, and and doing that not because she was a Fey, but because she wanted to help Corey, and doing it in a very Fey kind of way, of play very much the letter of the law and not the spirit of the law, and just kind of really buying into like I am a Fey and I am going to always use that to my advantage. But because it's Crina, it's always what's to her advantage is really like helping other people. Like that's always her goal. And but also through that night, I think like the way that everyone was like fighting and like against the ritual was happening and like working to try and save Corey and like relying on Crina and like wanting Crina to be there, I think really mattered to her. Because we've touched on it a couple times here and there. Like Crina didn't really have friends before the season. Like she had lots of people she was friendly with, she didn't have friends, like a group of friends, and like realizing that like these people were her friends, I think really like changed things for her too. I think that night is really what changed a lot of things for her.
Mm-hmm.
But it's hard to pick an exact moment from the show.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's fair.
that's why I tried to like zoom in, because I think in reality everybody's probably got several moments that sort of tilted you. But what about you, Rob? Is there something that you can zoom in on?
Yeah, you'd think I would have thought about this if I wrote the question.
Yeah.
Whoops.
But you'd be wrong. I keep leaning towards Donovan and Wolfe the first time they had like their long drive car ride,
Mm-hmm.
you know, talking about everything that was going on and a bit of the problems. And Donovan, I set up Donovan to be this like metaphor of stagnated maturity and romantic growth, and just the how a lot of LGBTQ people feel like they don't get to grow because they can't express how they're feeling, can't be their true selves, can't go out and have the same romantic, you know, pursuits that a lot of people have and is normal and is societally, you know, expecting. And Donovan was shut off from that and his family. So getting those different connections with different people, suddenly he's feeling alive and interested. And then that dedication of Wolfe and expressing how Wolfe felt and wanting Donovan's help and yet trusting at the same time for being a vampire through that car ride was like a grounding, anchoring moment.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, not you, cat.
Ollie really wants my microphone.
It's, you know, it's hard to live life as a cat.
She's just being a butt. Natalie and I were gone for a week, and she's just not letting me, like, forget that.
Let's do something a little fun before we go to break. One of Stephanie's questions, which I like a lot, is all about signature meals at fast food restaurants.
You can thank Natalie for this because she was telling me about it. I was like, "Oh, that's gonna be a good question." I immediately pulled my phone out and submitted it.
It's a tag team. How there's been a recent trend of celebrity signature meals and drinks at fast food restaurants, and we want to know, what is your character's signature Dairy Royale order?
Oh no.
When they're at the Dairy Royale, what do they get?
It's gonna be so bad whenever Wolf says.
Salad.
Yeah, it's gonna be like the one really sad like salad with like the really sad fast food lettuce and like
and like the Powerade from the Coke machine.
Yeah,
because that's the healthiest option they have, and they wouldn't let him endorse water.
And there's like no dressing on it.
Oh, God.
It's just a really sad salad, and he's like, "I'm trying to make this healthy, my man." But no one goes to Dairy Royale to eat healthy food. Like,
Crina's is the biggest, most ridiculous like Sunday type ice cream order that they offer.
Mm-hmm. Didn't you get two of those in one episode?
Yes.
Yeah.
I was darkest self. You know.
You know.
There's a reason Corey calls
need
Crina a hummingbird.
Calories
okay?
don't count when you're darkest self.
They don't count when you're a fae. But it's like that biggest thing, but like normally it only comes with chocolate sauce, but like you also add the strawberry sauce and the caramel sauce and then the limited edition peanut butter sauce that they only put on special things. And there's an extra scoop of chocolate ice cream and the diced strawberries that they put add diced strawberries and a second banana, and you slather the whole thing in whipped cream and the maraschino cherries. They like double the number that they normally put on there. And then also the like candy that they only use for like the like ice cream shakes kind of thing. You put those on there as well, and then you like finish the whole thing off with like a like the frou-freest coffee drink that they have with like extra espresso, extra whipped cream, and like chocolate and caramel sauce.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's not recommended for a single person.
Oh.
It's recommended
If a mortal drinks and eats that, they actually suddenly are in the Fae realm.
Right.
They just like vibrate into
They
the
call
other
it the
dimension.
Fey Realm Challenge, but no one ever knows what that means.
Whoa!
No one ever actually finishes it by themselves.
Bastilin wants to know if there are gummy bears on it.
Yeah, all the candy.
Yeah.
Okay.
Not just like the M&Ms, like a scoop of all of the candy options.
Oh, okay.
Like going to Cold Stone and just being, and they're like, "Do you want me to add anything?" And you're like,
Everything.
Yes, one of everything. Thank you.
Yes.
And then they hate you.
Oh.
So fun fact. Faye don't get brain freeze.
Wow. That's good
Am I
to
a
know.
Fae?
So
That's
Crina
useful.
can just like shove it all in her mouth as fast as possible. I'm gonna regret saying that and doing that, aren't I? Somebody's gonna gift that.
Thanks, Charlie.
I feel like Bridget might be like I don't know why it popped in my head, but I feel like she's like a veggie burger with extra cheese. Like
Veggie burger with extra cheese.
I love it.
I like it too. I don't know why. It's just adorable. It's
Yeah.
delightful.
With like curly fries.
mhm.
Ooh, that sounds good.
And a dipping sauce that's not standard ketchup.
Yeah, I
it's
think like sweet and sour sauce.
yeah, like not
There you
something
go.
that's not on the menu normally,
Yeah,
but like not a typical fry option.
yeah,
So,
Yeah.
do they do grilled chicken sandwiches at these kinds of places?
Yeah,
Yeah,
totally.
they often
Okay.
will have that. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I feel like Corey gets some kind of grilled chicken sandwich, but like double the chicken inside of it because he needs that protein because he's working out. Definitely curly fries with the spiciest sauce they have. But I think he also gets like a large mocha frap drink. But the reason he gets a large is he only would really drink a small. But the other two sizes is so Crina can also have it.
There you go.
As soon as he said that was a large mocha, I was like, oh, so Crina can have some.
That's so
Yeah,
nice.
because he dips a couple fries in it, and then I think he drinks like a quarter of it, and then the rest of it goes to Crina.
I think Crina just takes it, and whenever Corey wants a sip, she gives it back.
Yeah.
And she's just drinking it the whole time.
Yeah, that seems accurate. And I feel like there are moments where there's sauce on it, but that's only because Karina's poked him in the side and been like sauce on it.
I imagine Donovan's is like the best kind of steak, wink wink, they can do as a burger. So it's like a steak, wink wink burger. Yeah.
No, it's
and
not.
there's like potato wedges, and you have to get Barks root beer because it has bite.
Oh.
Hey.
I love
That's the
it.
Donovan
It's terrible.
meal.
It's so perfect.
Oh.
Yeah.
That would be Donovan's humor too.
I like how none of y'all get like ice cream as your signature meal at the Dairy Royale.
Yeah.
There's
You
a
think-
mocha shake.
Wolf.
There was a mocha
eats ice
shake.
cream?
So the question did ask that we include NPCs. What NPCs do y'all
I wanted
want
to
to
see.
Dixie.
Ronnie
Dixie?
Bruce.
All right.
Dixie, Ronnie Bruce.
Alistair!
Ooh,
I
okay.
think-
I'm gonna give you 4, Brian.
Whoa.
That's a
Dixie.
lot.
Dixie.
Let
well, no,
Brian
so,
go
like in
first.
total. Like, I was gonna say the ones you guys already mentioned.
All right, go ahead.
Dixie,
Yep.
Ronnie Bruce,
Sure.
Tabitha, Alistair.
Alistair.
Alistair, like Fred
Yeah.
Astaire, but with Alistair.
Just imagining Dixie's is the Dixie cup, and people think and it's just a giant ass sundae.
It's just like a giant black coffee and then like a small vanilla ice cream cone.
I think
It's an
Dixie's is
affogato.
I think Dixie's is a frap. I think she gets a milkshake.
Mm.
And it's like dark chocolate ice cream, and instead of putting milk in it, they mix it with coffee.
Ooh, yeah.
And that
Okay.
sounds really good to me
That-
right
yeah.
now.
Actually,
That
one of
does
our ice cream places does a cold brew shake. That is like
Yeah,
that.
it's a
That's very
cold
good.
brew
Oh, yeah.
shake.
That sounds good.
Yeah.
I don't like
do they-
chocolate ice cream, but I want to eat that.
Does she get like the little Halloween sprinkles on it so there's little bats and stuff?
No, that's just gonna
Oh,
ruin the
okay.
shake. Come on.
Okay,
now.
I tried.
She's not that kind of goth. She's not.
Stephanie's face.
I feel like there
Oh.
would be 2 cherries though. Like she wants.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Oh
cherries,
yeah, come on now. If you're gonna go big, that's where you
So
go
you could
big.
you have one with your girlfriend.
Yeah.
Ooh. And then Ronnie Bruce. Ronnie Bruce would be some like ridiculously big sundae. that has chicken fingers in it for some reason.
I was
Yes.
thinking,
Yes.
I was thinking he would dump like
Yes.
fries in it, so he would eat
Yeah.
the like fries and
And
the
so
milkshake.
if they stick the chicken tenders in the sundae, and so you can scoop it out, and the ice cream's already on it.
I love that. I don't know why, but I do. It's like a dessert
Yes.
garbage plate.
Yeah,
It's got strong chicken and waffles vibes.
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I feel like Roddy Bruce would also know the importance of like protein for building muscle kind of thing and be into that, but isn't going to deny himself ice cream either because there's multiple ways to bulk, bro.
I think yeah, and I think he burns a lot of calories. If
Yeah.
there's anything about Ronnie Bruce, it's that he's active. I think
Yeah.
we've learned that.
He's very intense.
Yeah, he's an intense person. There's a lot of moving, a lot of screaming. So it's calorie burning. So who's next? Alistair.
Mhm.
A single pickle.
Right.
Ew. He's a fae. He likes sugar.
He does like sugar. I was thinking of like a really nice soft serve ice cream, like instead of like the regular vanilla, it's like a French vanilla ice cream.
Crazy vanilla.
A what?
The crazy vanilla, where it has all the different stripes and
Oh, like
colors in it.
sometimes they call it like Superman kind of thing, or it's just,
I don't
like,
know this.
patches of different. It's just vanilla ice cream. It's just lots of colors.
Yeah.
It's for little kids. And you know,
I don't think he's big on that.
33-year-old adults.
Right. I don't think he wants all the colors. I think he just wants a really good ice
Vanilla.
cream.
Mm.
He wants a really good vanilla, and it's not even a cup. You know, people think he's a cup guy. He's a cone guy, but he's
Oh,
also
yeah, good.
knows how
Waffle
to
or,
handle
or waffle or sugar?
ooh. I'm gonna go
chocolate
with
dipped waffle, but when they coat it with the sprinkles as you hold it, kind of thing. So,
I think he's a little ashamed of the sprinkles, but he likes it. You know, does it anyway.
he is
yeah.
a fae. He's got a
He
little.
is
He
a
bit
asked
of,
for the
fae.
sprinkles
a
inside the
little, a little
cone.
glamour, a little sparkle kind of thing. You know,
Right.
like it. We all do it. Kind
Yeah.
of thing. But
And if it was like, if we're talking about like celebrity level where they can like get them to do certain things, I think he would get like some kind of like glitterized sprinkle made. Like that would be his like
Ooh.
contribution to the menu. Is instead of like rainbow sprinkles or chocolate sprinkles, they're like shiny.
yeah, it's like one color,
Yes.
but they're all kind of like
It-
metallic looking.
Yeah, it's like the silver disco ball sprinkle. I don't know if that's even
I like
possible,
it.
but
Well,
Oh,
sure.
I like
Now it is.
Yeah.
now it is, right. So it's like, yeah, wherever the chocolate on the cone is, it's like edible glitter.
A lot of people are gonna eat ice cream at the break. I can tell.
I might eat some after this.
There's
Tabasco.
a local ice cream place. They do their waffle cones like that. Like they dip it halfway down, so it's like
Yeah.
a thick layer of chocolate, and it's just like coated in sprinkles, like a whole nother like. just
Oh,
packed
yeah.
with sprinkles.
Yeah,
As
so
that's how
you do
good.
it.
Who used to work at Cold Stone? I've made those.
Tabitha?
And then Tabitha. I think Tabitha actually probably gets the sad wolf salad. I think she's
Oh,
with I was thinking about
no.
this earlier actually. I think she's
That's so
but
sad.
but she follows it up with a little
gets some ice
tiny
cream?
like the tiniest ice cream sundae.
Kitty.
Like
The kitty
Like
like you
cup.
get like the kitty cup, but you turn it into a sundae. So it's like soft serve and like a little whipped cream and a cherry.
And just like a tiny
Cute.
drizzle of syrup on there.
Yeah,
It's
it's
like
like
3 bites.
baby sundae.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it.
That was silly.
That's very cute. I like
That was a
that.
good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
So on that note, let's take a quick break so we can so everyone can go get ice cream real quick.
I wish.
And
You have
when
ice
we come
cream.
back, what?
Natalie.
When we
I
come
missed
back,
that. What did you say,
Yo.
Natalie?
I said I do have ice cream.
Oh, you pulled to Stephanie.
You also have a Jennifer. I'm like in love.
The audience can't see her. She's cropped off.
Oh,
on the thing,
rip.
But you can see
when
her.
we come back from break, we will talk about our future predictions for these characters.
Ooh.
See you real soon.
Bye. All right. We're back. And
Hi,
I
everybody.
invented a new Dairy Royale item during the break in honor of
Oh.
everyone. Because I bought Honeybuns to eat tonight, but then we were talking about ice cream, and I wanted that
Awesome.
too. So I have chocolate ice cream with a honey bun.
With
in
a
it.
honey
With the
bun.
honey bun. I love it. Perfect.
I love it. I love it so much.
It's crazy. I love it. It's very silly.
I just want everyone to know also that I'm drinking out of the Mr. cup
Okay. What's
Because-
that mean?
because it's big and can fit a lot of drink in it.
What is a Mr. Cup?
Well, because we have like Mr. and Mrs. cups.
Is the Mrs. Cup smaller?
No, but it is cracked, so I'm not gonna use it.
I was about to get real angry if it was smaller.
No, it's the same
This
size.
is cracked because it's been used so much.
No, I
so-
don't know. It came out of the washing machine, the dishwasher.
Yeah, those glasses are not meant to go in the dishwasher.
What? They work fine in the dishwasher.
Everything is meant to go in the dishwasher.
Oh my god, I forgot to get alcohol. I need it.
Go get your alcohol.
I'm gonna go
real
get
quick.
alcohol. I'll be
Yep,
right back.
You're fine.
I'm
We're
trying
just
to
gonna
dig out
talk
my
about the
cherry
future.
anyway.
Yo, I was drinking a Mai Tai yesterday,
Mm-hmm.
and
you do.
there was a maraschino cherry in there, and then I got to the end, and I was like, surprise second cherry. I was super excited. There was two.
Surprise
You
second
don't
cherry.
get to say that often, do
That's
you?
pretty exciting. Oh.
Rob, no.
Womp womp.
Come on, Cherry.
So this is very exciting because several people asked this question. This is what everybody really wants to know. And I, for one, know that some of y'all have been talking about it for a while anyway. So based off of my scooping up of the questions, this is going to be a two-parter, okay? The people want to know, what are your character's plans after graduating high school? And then, where do you see your character in 15 years?
Sorry, say both of those questions again.
What are your character's plans after graduating high school? So, senior prom's next week. What are they going to do after graduation? Their immediate plans. And then we're going to do a big old jump. 15 years from now, what do you think is going on? That's not the character. Not what does Wolfe think they're going to be doing in 15 years, because who knows if Wolfe's even thinking about that. But what does Ashley think Wolfe is doing in 15 years? You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
And I think we should just go down the line. Let's see, who has the most food in their mouth? And Natalie. No. What about Stephanie? Because I know you've given this a little bit of thought. Did you do that on purpose? Because I said your name?
No, I already had broken the cookie and moved it to my mouth before you said my name.
I don't
You
want to
notice
go
how I-
first. I'm eating.
Well, you called on Natalie.
I called
like,
on
okay, I can
Natalie as a
eat now.
joke because Natalie literally just.
I can go. I'm ready. Let's do this.
All right, Natalie, you're gonna go
Okay.
first.
So immediately after school, I think Bridget goes to Smith College for
Okay.
a degree in social work. I think Hannah is her roommate.
Okay, so why Smith College? What is?
I think just being a women's college, I picture her moms are alumni. Like, that's
Okay.
where they met. It makes sense that
Yeah.
they met at the women's college in Massachusetts.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so she goes to college with Hannah for a degree in social work. Something I've been thinking about, what exactly happened to Bridget at the end, like why she has her powers back.
Yeah.
And my theory, it might not be canon, we'll find out at prom,
We'll find
is
out.
that she became a new god. Like, she's now the goddess of, like, friendship. It's Bridget. She's just part of the pantheon now.
Oh,
It's
I
like
love
Aphrodite,
that.
the god of love. Poseidon, the god of the sea. Bridget, the god of friendship.
Bridget Klein.
I love it.
That's pretty cute.
So wait, so what does that mean? So in like 15 years, are you just like hanging out in your temple? Like,
No, I think Bridget just lives a perfectly, like, ordinary, boring life. Like, she uses her powers sometimes, but, like, in 15 years, I see her as... I don't think she goes back to Gehenna Valley. Like, the idea of going back to her hometown feels weird, but I picture her becoming a high school counselor because she, like, wants to help people, and yeah.
Oh, I like that. That's cute. All right, Ashley, it's your turn.
Okay, yeah, I can go. I'm not. You're muted, Kay.
Important question: are Dixie and Bridget still together?
Oh,
I don't like high school romances lasting forever, and I know so many of them in this cast are planning to, that Bridget
That's
has to be
okay.
the one that doesn't.
That's okay. That's okay.
But
Is it an
I
amicable
think
breakup?
I think it's amicable.
Okay,
I think
okay.
they keep in touch. Yeah.
Does she have a new romance, or is she's single, ready to mingle at 15 years?
I don't know. I think it's some like faceless character we never see. Like,
Yeah.
we don't know them. Someone new she met.
okay.
All right. So I think right after, well, I think throughout senior year, I don't know how this works. I'm not an athlete, but I imagine he gets scouted to some like college, to go to college to swim. Like, but it's probably some like, it's like you look at Wolfe and you look at the college he's going to, and it's like he's definitely here on an athletic, like it's like Yale or like Princeton or like Stanford or something like that. And it's like, not that Wolfe isn't smart, but he's not that smart, and he's also
Sure.
but I think he ends up getting a degree in I don't know, some like, because I was actually thinking like social work for him too. I think
Hey.
he does like some, like he probably like volunteers at like a YMCA and like teaches kids like how to swim, or like
Mhm.
does like some like community swim team or something like that. And helps other kids who are going through hard things.
Okay. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
but he does that after he has his lengthy swim career and goes to the Olympics and gets a gold medal.
The fun
fact. Gold. Nice.
The fun fact from most of my friends who do social work is that usually they have some sort of trauma, and all of us have our characters have enough trauma that like they're all gonna get pulled towards social work.
So it's just, so he goes and does like good swimming stuff, and he rubs it in his dad face, but like not really, but like privately he's like, see dad, look, I could do it, I don't need your help. And so he does great at the Olympics, and then once he's like old or whatever, I don't know, once that career is over, he goes and does swim stuff. And I don't know, maybe he gets turned into a vampire at some point. That's not really up to me.
We'll just throw that out there, you know. That's cute. Should we go to the vampire then? Should we segue?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think Donovan is going to follow Wolfe to whatever college Wolfe goes to. I assume Donovan is going to focus more on a communication and leadership based curriculum this time, always having focused on something very insular and introverted. This will be more about outreach and community involvement. And I'm thinking as Donovan leaves and goes into the future, he's going to be looking for a way to maybe help future leaders, like through some sort of institute or something, and wants to go kind of like the I'm a Professor Xavier kind of guy, and let's help find other monsters and superpowered people and bring them together and help them get through the tough times, especially when they discover what's going on with them. And I very much imagine Donovan, even if Donovan and Wolfe don't stay together, I think Donovan and Wolfe work together.
Okay. That's pretty good. Now, I see you putting your nose on your finger on your nose. But here's the thing. I also happen to know for a fact that Stephanie and Kay have talked about this to some degree. I don't know how individually
you
can
extensively.
I've heard their discussions a lot.
But if you don't mind, Stephanie, do you want to start us off here?
Sure. So Crina is incredibly excited to be done with school forever. She has negative desire to go to college, refuses to go, gets very angry when Corey tries to pressure her to like audit community college classes, and never ever goes. But she does compromise and let him like read textbooks to her sometimes.
Okay.
Something that never comes up, and that has never really come up in the main game, that I've mentioned like in other places and stuff, is that in my head, it, like, started as a joke, but like now I've decided it's actually canon that all Fae have ADHD. It's just an inherent part of being Fae. And Crina, that's why Crina does so badly at school. She can't concentrate long enough to actually read. But she can listen really well, as it turns out. So she actually is more interested in things when people read them to her. So she lets Corey read her textbooks sometimes, and she learns that way. But she really does actually become an ambassador for the Fae, I think. And I think that Jack kind of relies on her actually really heavily over the years. And I think that she does like successfully negotiate for things like pay for my house, and it's my house, and I get to do whatever I want with it, and whoever I want to live there lives with me. So Crina and Corey do move in together. It's just the two of them. And she, because of her job and because of like her family's from the valley and stuff, like I think she kind of like has to stay there as long as she's doing faith stuff. So she
Mhm.
never really like leaves Gehenna Valley. I think like she does travel some, especially because I think Corey's very interested in traveling and she wants to go with him. And as it turns out, traveling's a lot easier when you just walk through the Fey realm to wherever you need to go instead of like booking planes.
Mhm.
Uh, but there's a lot of that, and I think that Crina fully intends to wait until she's in her late 20s to have kids, but I think she gets very hard baby fever at like 21, and I think she's had at least 2 kids before they're 25.
Okay, I like
And
that.
yeah,
It's fun.
and she never marries him. She adamantly refuses to marry him.
Yeah, so I think Corey immediately after goes to community college for like a year. A, to save money, and then B, to also like just fix up his grades a bit because he did a lot of work in high school towards the end, but that still doesn't make up for like an entire education spent not caring. And then I'd say he goes to a pretty good school and he majors in like library sciences. He's really like developed an important love for books and teaching and learning. He still keeps up with his chosen training. I think he graduates, gets this library degree, goes on to pursue like a PhD or two related to text studies and sort of ancient Greece things and other mythos. And he also is a chosen. So he like 50/50s develops this library that's like a safe haven. And
Mhm.
then he specifically searches out throughout the country and does go around a lot, like kids that are in situations like he is. And then he handles their home situation, and sometimes that might require then a detour to Bridget or Bridget or Wolfe, but he handles their home situation. And he also, I think, saves and does stuff with other supernaturals. We've talked about the fact that the first baby might not be a Corey Crina baby. It might actually be a werewolf baby where Corey came into the situation and other slayers had accidentally come in and accidentally. We're not good people and had just killed a werewolf family because they were werewolves. And there was this like toddler werewolf that survived and they adopt him. And that's like their
And
first
that's
kid.
why Crina gets baby fever.
That's
She
why
holds
Crina
this
gets
baby.
baby
That's like,
fever.
oh,
Because she
I
holds this
need
like
6 more of these.
she like holds this 11-month-old baby and it's just like but I think he maybe also does some socially worky stuffy at the library. He picks up kids that are having trouble and gives them a job and then helps train them a bit to give them some centeredness and kids that are just in bad homes. Like
I think
That's
there's
cute.
a surprise Alistair baby at some point too.
maybe.
I think in the Gehenna Valley verse, it definitely happened with this
Rob
universe.
looks super surprised, and like I
It's a
probably would
surprise
too.
to
But
everyone.
I've heard them talk about it so much that I'm not surprised at this point. But
All right.
It's a surprise to
there's also-
everyone.
There's also
With an
Corey finds a male counterpart, marries them. Surprise, which baby?
no, that's not in this universe.
It's not in Gehenna Valley. Oh, there's alternate spaces.
No,
but
they're
yeah.
alternate spaces.
There's a question in the chat from Fading Betty. They want to know how many times does Corey propose?
Oh God, that's really sad. Because I don't think he proposes. I think they have a conversation, and I will say, I don't want to get sad on this, but unless he is in another relationship with someone else, I think that is something that hurts him for a long time.
Mhm.
Unless there is another, it's quite possible there is another love in his life that does want to marry him, and he does marry also. But I think I think they have a discussion about it. Crina makes her intents clear, and I think there's like a ring and a dresser that sits there forever.
Oh.
And yeah,
I think a year from today, we need a one shot, and Donovan organizes the bachelor party.
that would be great.
My gosh.
Yeah.
Well, put it on your calendar. Remind me in 11 months.
But yeah, I
Remind me
think
on the 2-year anniversary of Gehenna Valley.
yeah, I think Corey wants to do it, but Crina doesn't want it, and he would never try and force her into something she doesn't want, even if it hurts him.
All the babies are named Zarka, though. None of them have the Castiel.
Oh yeah,
name.
he does not pass on the Castiel name.
Yeah.
Fuck that noise. They're all Zarka babies unless he has a baby with someone else. Then that's that other person's name. But all his babies with Crina are Zarkas.
And also another important fact, I think it becomes pretty clear after like a decade or two that Crina has like pulled an Elrond, and she's now pretty much fully Fae and is almost entirely renounced her human side and just like
Mhm.
stops aging after like her mid to late 20s, and is gonna live a Fae lifespan.
Ooh.
So many
Wolf over here
people
just, like,
forget that
just
Elrond was half elven.
He's only half elf.
Yeah.
He's half human too. But
Side note.
he had a twin brother who was also half human and half elven, and like that brother chose the human side, and then like that's the lineage that Aragorn comes from.
So I
So
think
he's
Corey...
actually related to what's her face.
Oh, let's not talk about that. So I think Corey, I think Corey, unless there is another thing depending on things, he takes the Zarka name. I think he like changes his name. He's no longer Aurelius Ananias Cordero Castillo V. I think he like changes his name possibly to like Corey Donovan Zarka.
Corey Donovan Zarka. Okay.
Yeah.
It's
Rita's
an
actually
awkward time
totally
to
fine
tell
with
you that's
that,
not my real
even
name.
though she doesn't want to marry him.
But
I
I
think
think
she's just afraid. She's afraid to marry him.
Wow. Okay.
We can have the bachelor party anyway.
you can have the bachelor. Yeah, the bachelor
Oh yeah,
party.
absolutely.
Is Wolf
Vegas.
invited to the bachelor party?
Always.
Definitely Vegas.
Definitely Vegas.
Yeah. Maybe their relationship kicks back up while they're in Vegas, Wolf. Who knows?
Join us a year from now.
To find out, yeah.
Here's another heartfelt message. This one from an anonymous watcher.
Ooh.
I have truly enjoyed watching Gehenna Valley. The comfort of catching up the following day or watching the video on demand has been so great. Thank you so much for telling such a fantastic story and playing such wonderful characters.
Oh, thank
We
you.
bet who we think it
Anonymous.
is. Thank you, Anonymous. But I
No.
think
Thank you.
okay.
Oh, don't
I mean, they
place
probably
bets.
purposely put.
They could have
it
put their
as
name in if
a-
they wanted to put their name in. You
That's fair.
goobers. Bunch of wackadoos. All
No,
right.
I'm not a
Whatever.
goober.
You're both a goober
I
and a
am.
wackadoo.
What?
Aid does not. Aid is like Kenzie. They do nothing wrong.
I've never done anything wrong in my life.
Wow. Wow.
I'm gonna
Hey,
eat
you know
my
what
cookie.
Stephanie wants to know? Stephanie has a question for the cast.
Ooh, just one question.
Yeah.
Right now.
Stephanie asks, have any of your castmates changed your views on a skin? Everyone
I
says
feel
no.
like-
This. I do have
Well,
an answer to
so
this one.
I feel like I started Gehenna Valley and I hadn't played a lot of Monsterhearts.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was like as we played Gehenna Valley and like as I played more Monsterhearts, it kind of has helped develop like my views of the skins. You know, I didn't really have too many preconceived notions of different skins before playing Gehenna Valley. So does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
that makes sense. Absolutely.
Because now I just see like well, I mean, I've seen plenty of vampires be played, but like the like helpful vampire who tries to stay cool and distant, and like the very energetic fae who loves sugar.
I mean, I will say that I think Rob's Donovan has been a very different vampire for me. I see a lot of vampires play into the trope of being either very distant or very controlling. And Rob found a third option, which is was a lot of fun, you know. And
Thanks.
if anything, playing a lot of Monsterhearts has always shown me that there's so many different ways to play the skins. I've run a lot of one shots, and I was, you know, of all of our PCs, I think Rob's vampires found more ways to show me something different. So
I appreciate that, especially because I put some effort into that and reading up on like vampire tropes, and I felt like, you know, Gehenna Gaming, like get the vampire in, especially because some of the things that we discussed as a group beforehand and some of our lines and veils are red,
Mhm.
yellow, and things that the vampire can really be capable of or lean into. wasn't something we really wanted anyway. So I appreciate hearing that.
I was gonna say that too. That like the way that Rob played vampire really like. I had a lot of concerns about playing in a long-term campaign with a vampire character because it can go abusive, and that's a very, very hard line. I'm not willing to play in a game with abusive romantic relationships.
Mm-hmm.
I it just won't do it. And Rob and I spent like a long time talking like through nuances of like what I was comfortable with, where he wanted to go with Donovan, and like I think after like 3 or 4 episodes, like I like zero concerns at all. I was just like, oh, okay, this is going to be perfectly fine. Like, Rob's not even like I don't know, just like the way that Rob played the skin like really did change my opinion of like how a vampire could work in Monsterhearts. That it doesn't have to be just an abusive partner because I didn't have a lot of experience with Monsterhearts before we played Gehenna Valley. But the games in which there had been vampires presidents, they had always been played very abusive and controlling, and it was just nice to see that that could go somewhere else.
Yeah, okay. Now I feel great. Thanks. Jeez.
Anybody else have something that's not praising Rob?
Or you
Feel
can just keep
feel free
praising
to
Rob, that's fine.
continue. Yeah, just keep going.
Rob's just like, I'm good. Just keep going.
So we're running low on questions here, but we still got a few more things to talk about. There's 2 questions here from someone named Stephanie that I think work really well together. It's what was the most meaningful part of playing your character? And the second question is, how has playing your character for so long affected you as a person? Or has it? So what's the most meaningful part of playing your character? How has playing your character for this long affected you as a person?
I have an answer for that one.
Yeah, go for it.
This is very personal, but leave it all on the table. I had an ex who kind of gaslit me and made me feel bad about being a manipulative person. And when Bridget became like that, I was kind of scared. And I was like, oh, like, is this, am I playing myself? Is this what I am? And what happened, and being able to give Bridget a redemption arc, get her around to being a good person who is happy and has friends and people care about her. That was really meaningful to me. I'm a forever GM. I GM almost exclusively. And I've played Bridget more than I've played any other character. Like, I've spent more time playing Bridget than I have anyone. And, like, I think Bridget is always going to be an important character to me going forward.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Anybody else?
And for the record, you're not manipulative.
Yeah.
Yeah, logical brain says that, but...
Chat loves you.
Yeah, I see.
Kind of building on what we were just saying for the vampire skin, and how I had said earlier I wanted Donovan to kind of be this metaphor of like stagnation and not able to develop, and being able to seek out meaningful relationships. I wanted Donovan to be about seeking out that similarity and seeing himself in people and wanting to find connection after so long. And I partially did that at the same time we were all stuck at home because of COVID, and finding ways to connect. And Donovan's way of like receding away from people and feeling connected had been video games and the internet. And because of, trusting their connection to other people, they could kind of grow from that. And now, as the vaccine's coming out and things are slowly improving, hopefully we'll be able to do that in real life too, since we haven't all met each other in person, and hopefully we can. I think Donovan will stay with me, especially in the way of that perspective that I took, like knowing that not everyone has the same journey, especially in their own development, romantically, self-actualization and realization. And remembering that whenever you meet anyone, no matter how old you think they are or aren't.
Nice.
Okay, so I think I can answer this question next.
Okay.
And this is something that Kay and I and Stephanie have talked about, how we all have put like a little bit of our own trauma into these characters. And it's honestly something that a lot of people do with just like their characters in general for like every single tabletop. But getting to play a character who feels these really strong expectations from their parents specifically, and tries really hard to live up to them, and getting them to have this arc where they come to terms with it and come to get to a point where they can do things for their own sake as opposed to trying to make other people happy. I really liked playing through that, and I think because I've played Wolfe in other game systems before and other like role-playing games, but that whole arc was very specific for like Monsterhearts, because most of these systems that I've played in have him as an adult, so he's like already gone through this or whatever, like has figured things out one way or another. But getting to like actually play through it was I think is something that will stick with me.
Okay, thank you.
You want to go or should I?
You go, because I am already starting to cry. So
Okay,
you
I'll go. Yeah, this is one of the characters I've played the longest, and I think this is the first character I've ever played in a TTRPG to quote unquote have an ending. And there's something very viscerally satisfying about that. And I think, oh, we can hear him purring. And then I think one of the important things I will take away from Corey, and that I think I learned through Corey, is about forgiveness and understanding. I think like that fact that he like forgave Aitor in the end, and like when he was making his "My Name Is Earl" list, he was like, cross my name off. Like, you know, that he was able to move past that is something I want to take into my own personal life, is being able to forgive and move on and do those kinds of things as life goes on. Because I think a lot of people in general, it's an issue. And, you know, and I think those kinds of feelings hold you back. You know, hate in your heart's not a good thing. And so I want to take from that and learn from that, from Corey. Stephanie, time to cry.
I've had a long-running joke with Natalie about the game she picks, and Monsterhearts came into my life via Natalie. Natalie's always had like a real like just real good grip on like different indie games and what's out and what's buzzing, and like in a way that I have never had, and probably honestly never will, because I just I'm not like up on those kinds of things. But there's a long-standing joke that the games that Natalie picks, but that she brings to me, was like, this sounds like so much fun, we should definitely play that, is actually therapy. It's surprise therapy. And Monsterhearts is a game that you don't realize is therapy until you're suddenly like, why do I feel terrible? And it's because therapy is one of those things where you have to unpack all the shit that you had just like shoved into a box and hidden in the deepest, darkest corners in hopes that you never have to like acknowledge its existence before. And like that's a shitty place to be. And so Monsterhearts is like surprise therapy. And so I have mentioned that I have ADHD, and I'm pretty open and honest about it in most aspects of my life. And I've mentioned how canonically I have decided that all Fae have ADHD to me. And something that I think if you don't like know me personally or like talk to me like as a person as a friend that I haven't known that I have ADHD for very long, actually. It's been less than a year and a half since I was diagnosed. I, like a lot of women, didn't get diagnosed until I was like well into adulthood. Um, and ADHD is a thing that you have your whole life. You're born with it. Your brain is literally wired differently, and it affects every single aspect of like every single thing you do because your brain fundamentally doesn't work the same way. And it's really hard. And I didn't get diagnosed until I was 31, and I'm 33 now. So it's been it's been under a year and a half. And a lot of what I have been doing in 2020 is learning like what it is to have ADHD and like all the pain that I have felt, especially in my socializing with other people, and how I've had lifelong difficulties connecting with people and in a kind of serious or long term way, and the ways in which I was different, especially in high school and college, and how really just incredibly painful it was to not be able to connect with people because my brain didn't work the same way as them. And one of the things that people forget about ADHD, or if they don't know that ADHD is, it's not a disease where you can't sit still. It's not the inability to focus. It's like a lack of inhibition in your brain. Like it just doesn't work. You just don't have the ability to suppress things. And emotion is a big part of that. And emotional regulation is almost entirely suppressing emotions so that you can be present and talk to people in a way that they expect. And so my whole life I've been told I'm too much. I'm too intense. I'm too loud. I'm too excited. I'm too intense. I'm intimidating. I'm scary. And I get too angry as well as being too excited. And it drives people away. It drives them away. And I've been unpacking a lot of that the last year and a half through 2020 of learning like who I am, why I am the way I am, and being medicated and realizing that what life is like for normal people and how hard I really was working and learning to undo a lot of the hatred that I had for myself and the self-loathing about being broken and being really different and completely like unlovable and unlikable. It's stuff I've struggled with for a really long time. And I'm really good at masking it so people don't know I feel like that. um but I didn't realize it for a long time that I was starting to put that into Crina, give her a lot of those tendencies because I wanted to play a character who was just inherently happy because that's what I wanted. I want every game I ever play to be fantasy escapism to take me to better places. I don't like lingering in painful places because I spent my life there. And I realized at some point in the past summer that I was playing Crina as if she did have ADHD. And I started leaning into that more and more, and giving her all those like really intense emotions and being weird and loud and excited and just like thrilled to be alive. And it's been so therapeutic and so wonderful to take those things that made people not like me in when I was younger and put them into a character and have those traits be the reason that people like her and seek her out. I have a lot of emotional bleed with Monsterhearts. It's something we talk about a lot late at night. And having that part of the emotional bleed has been so wonderful. It has really kind of just helped me unlearn the things that I absorbed throughout my whole life of like, oh, well, you're just too much and people don't like you and you're going to be alone and unlovable forever. And to see no people like want you. That these are good characteristics to have. They're different and you got to learn how to navigate differently. But like, it's good. It's been deeply therapeutic. So that's what affecting playing Crina has been like, and what playing here every Monday night with you guys has been like. For me, it's been really difficult at times, but it's just made things a lot better for me. I told you I was gonna cry.
Well, we appreciate you sharing that, Stephanie. I think that's a lot, and it's super important. People who know me from outside of Monday night, if you are ever coming back down to PAX East or another Boston convention, Aresia, you've probably heard me talk about depression and anxiety in games. And so I can only empathize to a degree, on a very different level. But I think the idea of games as therapy is a very real thing that they help us process. And I'm so happy that you've gotten some of that positive end of that.
Yeah, I think I want to say, much like Donovan said early on, like part of the reason why Donovan likes Crina so much and thought Crina was so different as Crina is like light and life and magic. And that's very much you. You are light and life and magic and energy, and it's great. And I appreciate you sharing that with us.
Thank you, Rob.
Uh,
You are going
real-
to give me emotional comfort, Polly. You're not allowed to leave.
Polly's like, let me leave. No, what I was gonna say was that this is not really something. It's kind of like a small deviation from the question, but this game has meant a lot to, I think, all of us, especially in this past year with everything going on around the world, and getting to play pretty much, except for the break between seasons and like
1
break
week.
last week
Right.
and 1 week we missed.
Right.
Like we've played pretty much every single Monday, and having that kind of regularly scheduled social like aspect was really nice to have.
Mhm.
What about you, Brian? You have any other things to add? Because you don't really have like a character, but like you're still very much
I
part of the
don't,
game.
but I get to go for the ride. And I get to watch your characters and root for them. I'm definitely a MC who has taken some other aspects of other games, and it influences how I run everything. And one of the things I've taken from another game that isn't explicitly called out in Monsterhearts is to root for the characters. And that doesn't mean that they don't have hard times. It just means that, as an audience member, and part of being an MC is being an audience member, you really want them to succeed. And that's one of the reasons why you throw things in their way so that they can succeed. And I loved watching these characters grow and change. And I've especially loved being able to have something on Monday nights. One of the reasons why this stream has existed is because our lives were sort of thrown up in the air a year ago. And I knew that my schedule was not going to be the same for at least 3 months. And this has been a great thing. And I feel like it's brought me so many friends, not just the cast, but I do feel like the cast, have become my friends, but with some other people who are connected to the community as well. And I love that. I love it so much. I love community in general, but when I picked out the 5 players before us, I barely knew them. I really did, but it's just worked out better than I could possibly have imagined.
Yeah, I felt so special. I was like, "Oh, I played a one shot with Brian," and
Yeah.
Brian was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay,
Literally
cool."
was just like, I played one game with you once, but I'm totally happy to play more.
Yeah, I played with Kay, and I'd been in Vampire the Masquerade game that Stephanie ran as part of VHC. So I was like, yes. I was super psyched.
I will say that at least 3 of you now can confirm that I do, in fact, have legs.
That's true.
I
That's
met
true.
Ashley in person.
Yeah, so it's
Yeah.
Kay, and then
Yep.
I
She's
went.
tiny.
She's very tiny.
Brian was like, "You're not as short as I thought you were gonna be." I'm like, "I was wearing heels. I don't know. What do you want from me?"
Tiny.
So
I met Ashley while drunk for the very first time at the PAX East after party. I was drunk, and I was like, "Oh, who are you?"
the real message of this is if you play a one shot in a campaign in a convention, not a campaign, in a convention,
Right.
play a one shot and you bully your GM, good things will happen to you.
Don't bully Brian.
This whole thing happened mostly because Kay played in games that I ran and that Brian ran at PAX East, and Kayla is a professional hype man.
True. Kayla got
That's
people
true.
on Gehenna Gaming excited about Monsterhearts. And that definitely is the only reason why this happened. That's the only reason. They weren't talking about Monsterhearts before.
Two of Brian's friends went up to me like, just so you know, someone is talking about you in this server. I don't know if you want to be around, but someo's talking about you.
That's true. That's why I joined the Gehenna servers because yeah.
Pretty cool.
It's just the little things. So get up at 6 a.m. to go to conventions to be first in line for indie games on demand.
Mm-hmm.
And you two end up on a show.
One day soon.
One day soon, the conventions will be back. Well, it'll be wonderful. I did save a heartfelt message. I didn't go through them. Oh, I should say, I shouldn't ignore this. There was one person did submit a favorite moment. I got one, and it was an anonymous person, and they wrote quite simply, "The cliffhanger just after Corey got punched. OMG, evil."
That was very good because we had our week break then.
Yeah.
So
Yeah,
we
it
had
was
to
a
wait
good
2
one.
weeks to find
Yeah.
out who had punched him.
Who punched Corey? Goddamn.
I do. One of my favorite things was when I could set up good cliffhangers. I love setting up good cliffhangers.
Oh wait.
And I like how you were like, "I think I know who did it."
I was about to
like
ask
it hadn't
you.
been decided.
Mrs. Onassis.
I was actually about to ask you because that was one of the things you had said is you would tell us if you had changed who it was. Was it the same person?
It was. I kept the same person, but sometimes I get when I
get
set up a
good
cliffhanger
ideas
and I get a
sometimes.
better idea.
Yeah.
in
No,
the
go
in
with the
between
better
time,
idea.
and I
Why
absolutely
not?
do.
That's like a good like MC GM move where you set up like a puzzle or something and you just wait for the players to like figure
To tell you
figure
what the
it out,
puzzle really
but
is.
then they're
Yeah.
just like they come up is way cool and you're like, yeah, that's totally what I had thought of
Totally.
the whole time.
Oh yeah.
That's the GM trick I learned from Natalie. Have a fun puzzle and don't have an answer, and just wait until the PCs come up with something that you think is fun.
Yeah, it works.
She
and
taught me
and
that.
it makes your players feel good for coming up with or for being smart.
It's true. It's true. All right. So for our
Because
last
Natalie's a very
heartfelt
good
moment, this is from Allie. And Allie says, "I found Gehenna Valley like 3 episodes in and learned how to Twitch and Discord to watch. This is going to sound corny AF, but whatever. This show changed my life. I knew near to nothing about RPGs or Monsterhearts before Gehenna Valley, and now I'm about to start a stream of my own, and I have too many PCs that I care dearly about. Gehenna Valley was the beginning of all of that for me. I know that there's going to be another Monsterhearts series on Monday nights, but for me, my heart will always be with Corey, Crina, Bridget, Wolfe, Donovan, and Ronnie Bruce at Gehenna Valley High. I fucking love y'all. Lumberjanes forever."
Oh,
Thank you, Allie.
we love you too, Allie.
Yep.
Yes.
I think that's a good moment. Next week we will be back, and it'll be a year later for senior prom, which will be so much fun. I'm gonna run it one shot style. So we're gonna start high energy and run high energy, and we'll see if there's a building left at the end. Well, who knows?
Maybe Wolfe can finally die.
Well, I think you meant get stabbed, but okay.
I mean,
Are
that
Vincenzo
too.
and Wilma gonna give Donovan a hard time when he picks up Wolfe?
Wait, Vincenzo.
Yeah. Who did you think I was talking about? Distinguished gentleman, understands the vampiric condition,
Oh
good
my
perspective,
gosh.
long history.
We'll see if I adopt that into canon by the beginning of
Probably
next week's
shouldn't.
episode.
Probably shouldn't.
It's immediately
Crina
breaking
has
the
told him
treaty.
he's not allowed to be in the valley, and she
Yeah.
was very good at her job.
She
Mhm.
was very good at her job. But
Wait.
you wouldn't make an exception for true love?
You got to make an exception for true love once. You have to do it more times. Then you're gonna have to start like a green card marriage.
They could just date in
Is
Coventry
it
Hills.
really true love?
Is it really true love? You're gonna have to do that thing they do for like international marriage.
Yeah, you have to prove that you love your spouse.
prove
You're not
that
just
you
doing
love-
it for business.
Oh,
or some
I
shit.
don't like this anymore. No me gusta.
Politics is dirty and messy, Brian, and bureaucracy is worse.
Does anybody have any fun announcements before we go? Besides, see us here next week.
I mean, I just have
Yeah.
my normal one.
That's still fun.
I'll
I've got
just-
some fun announcements. Yeah.
I'll just say it real quick because this is the normal. So over on Carrying Comfort Studios, you can find me on Friday where I play Interstitial in our Kingdom Hearts game. And we're getting actually close to the end of that season too. But
Ooh.
we'll be back. I don't know, after a break, but things are getting exciting. So come check me out. It's at 7:30 Eastern on Fridays. Do it.
Great.
That's all.
Or else.
What did you want to say, Kay?
So speaking of Carrying Comfort Studios, if your Saturday happens to be free, I will be taking part in a Vampire the Masquerade V5 one-shot set in Nashville with some very deadly consequences. Not only will I be there, but some of our favorite people will be there as well, such as Oz and Leslie from Lancer, and community favorite Charlie
Ooh.
will be involved as well, including several other fun people. Zachary Vido from ATL by Night will be running it. And it's going to be very high action-packed vampire. So if you like Jason Statham movies, come on.
Okay. That's fun.
Yeah.
We announced already that Comfort County High will be starting a week from Thursday on April the 8th. We've also announced that the next episode of Adventures Unknown, Natalie and I's traveling indie tabletop show, will be the weekend of April 17th, so the 16th and 17th, and it'll be right here on Gehenna Gaming. And
Yay.
we can announce our theme now, so now that the episode's over. It's Goblin Core.
Ooh. That's fun.
As always, if you are interested in being in this show or any other, send us a message. If you have games you want to pitch, send us a message. If you have a Twitter, post us. Please send us a message.
That's super exciting. I love it. Is it time to wave goodbye till next week? We'll see you all next week. We love you.
Bye, we love you.
Bye.